Chapter 642, Fighting with the Saint Ruler of the Sect of Dragon and Tiger. 2. The Saint Ruler of the Sect of Dragon and Tiger looked especially serious when he observed the power in Jian Chen's fist. He could tell that the energy that surrounded his fist was by no means weaker than what a Saint Ruler was capable of. Impossible. In the short period of time since our last meeting, Jian Chen has already become a Saint Ruler? Even if his talent is unprecedented in all of history, he shouldn't be able to become a Saint Ruler at such a young age. What has he done to gain this power? The Saint Ruler was stuck in a tumultuous situation and was unable to remain calm. With Jian Chen becoming a Saint Ruler in a single leap, his heart was about to give out from the shock. No. He can't be a Saint Ruler. He's still using the power of the world to fly. Noticing the fault in his earlier thoughts, the Saint Ruler realized that Jian Chen wasn't a Saint Ruler. However, there was no more time to think about this matter since Jian Chen's fearsome punch was about to make contact with his chest. He knew that the strength in Jian Chen's fist wasn't weak by any means. Therefore, the Saint Ruler immediately brought forth his Saint Force from his body to surround his own right hand. With such a tremendous amount of Saint Force gathered, the light, that was reflected into his surroundings, looked as if it was warping space. From this, it could be seen just how much power was contained in the Saint Ruler's fist. His strength was noticeably a few notches higher than Jie Tai's strength. Bang! The fists smashed against one another with a thunderous explosion. The space around the impact zone trembled as a tremendous shockwave rippled out with the force of an erupting volcano. Like a devastating storm ravaging the area, the environment around Jian Chen and the Saint Ruler was immediately torn apart without mercy. Right at the epicenter, several cracks could be seen in the space there, slowly starting to heal over itself. The two fighters were obscured by the fallout of their strikes, so none of the spectators could see just what was happening inside. All they could feel was the earth beneath them violently tremble, threatening to split apart as pieces of stone tumbled down from the valley cliffs. When they fell to the ground, a loud echo rang throughout the valley. To the group, it was unknown just when Jie Tai had gotten up from his seat, but his elderly figure could be seen towering in front of everyone else with both of his hands out in front of him. Just barely, a transparent barrier could be seen protecting Ming Dong and the rest of the group from the fallout. Long before the battle, Jian Chen commanded Jie Tai to protect the group's safety at all costs. Thus, Jie Tai had to give up his dignity as a Saint Ruler to personally protect the mere Earth Saint Masters, and even the ones who weren't that, with his own hands. No longer was there any ground to stand on under the group's feet. With the fallout utterly destroying the place, only the table they had placed there was left unharmed due to the barrier. If not for this barrier, the group would have fallen down. Whether it was the Heaven Saint Masters of the Flame Mercenaries or the Sect of Dragon and Tiger, both sides found themselves knocked for a loop, and some of them temporarily lost the ability to take flight. Frightened, both sides retreated even farther away to avoid a repeat. This energy was completely different than when two heaven-tier battle skill collided. Trying to withstand it would be foolhardy for even them. Forming another barrier between his hands, Jie Tai enveloped the group and lifted them to a nearby mountain peak several kilometers away. Du Gufeng and Ming Dong's eyes were glued to the sight of the barrier, and both thunderstruck in the face. This is a barrier. You're a Saint Ruler. Ming Dong's eyes grew as wide as copper plates when he cried out in alarm. Even Du Gufeng had let out an uncharacteristically loud shout. The two of them were now staring at Jie Tai with a new sense of fear and respect. Jie Tai's eyes swept to look at Ming Dong for a brief moment, but he did not answer him. Instead, he turned his head back to look at the battle far away. Having seen Ming Dong's expression, newbies let out a derisive snort in disdain from aside Jie Tai, a Saint Ruler and nothing more. What is there to be amazed about? Ming Dong hadn't even heard the offhanded remark of newbies since his entire being was focused on the existence that Jie Tai was. This was an entity that could fight against the Saint Ruler of the Sect of Dragon and Tiger. Senior, please go save Jian Chen. The Saint Ruler of the Sect of Dragon and Tiger is a senior figure that has been a Saint Ruler for many years. Jian Chen isn't an opponent for him. Only you can fight that Saint Ruler. Ming Dong frantically urged. Jian Chen was a Heaven Saint Master to Ming Dong, and was therefore a powerless individual in front of a saint ruler. With the few months that they were apart, Ming Dong didn't dare believe that Jian Shen would be capable of making a breakthrough to become a saint ruler. No matter how much he was concerned for him, Jian Shen was already in the middle of a battle with the saint ruler. That previous shockwave, which left a void in the area and destroyed the landscape, had already left Ming Dong completely unaware of what was happening, so naturally he believed that Jian Shen was in mortal danger. "Senior, please save my brother." Tearing up, Bai Lian's heart had long since leaped to her throat. It was a fact to her that her brother was strong, but a being as terrifying as a saint ruler was not a person that she thought Jian Shen could fight against. "Senior," with the revelation of Jie Tai's strength, everyone began to beg and implore him, clutching at the straws to life. The concern they felt for Jian Shen had already reached a breaking point. They didn't believe Jian Shen had the strength to fight a saint ruler. The initial burst of energy had traumatized them senseless. They feared that the might of the saint ruler had already left Jian Shen in perilous straits. Originally, Jie Tai didn't wish to bother with them, but then remembering that these anxious people were all close friends with Jian Shen, he relented. "Worry not. The saint ruler might be one that has reached the fourth heavenly layer, but Jian Shen will be more than enough to take care of him." His words stunned the entire group of people there. Jian Shen was capable of fighting a saint ruler at the fourth heavenly layer? That was something everyone didn't expect to hear. Boom! There was almost no time given for them to think when yet another explosion rocked the battlefield. Ripples of energy flew across the sky, reshaping the earth around them. Such power was capable of terraforming the earth. Mountain peaks within a few kilometers distance crumbled apart. All that could be seen was the saint ruler making a retreat with a grim expression on his face. His right arm gave a slight tremble as it drooped down powerlessly. The second time he had collided with Jian Shen had enforced his fist with chaotic force to boost its destructive force. If not for the saint ruler's strength at the fourth heavenly layer, it would have been very likely that his right arm would have shattered apart. "Oh, great saint ruler from the Sect of Dragon and Tiger. Where has your superior attitude gone now? Did you not say you'd make me die a violent death? Then why have you not injured me yet? Is it because you can't deal with a junior like me?" Jian Shen mocked the saint ruler. Using the illusionary flash, he disappeared and reappeared right in front of the saint ruler with a fist ready to strike him down with the appropriate force. Growing ashen in the face, the saint ruler felt an unbearable amount of shame and humiliation wash over him. There was no way out of this embarrassing situation with how Jian Shen spoke. Indignation flooded the saint ruler's eyes and saint force gathered in his right arm shortly afterward, restoring his right arm back to its original state. A fiery red machete materialized in his right hand before it came arcing toward Jian Shen's head. As it traveled through the air, the machete left behind a fiery crack through the world space. In the short two exchanges he had with Jian Shen, the saint ruler had somehow been forced by Jian Shen to use the saint weapon he hadn't used in a very long time. Unflinchingly, Jian Shen slammed his fist against the saint weapon. When fist met saint weapon, the fist repelled the saint weapon while sustaining a bone-deep cut. As soon as the cut appeared, blood came spraying out. Barely any time passed, however, before the blood clotted. Even the wound itself had seemingly regenerated in no time at all without a trace or scar to be seen. "I'm impossible." Even though he saw the wound himself, the saint ruler didn't dare believe his eyes. He had used his very own personal saint weapon, but it did nothing but leave an inconsequential wound on Jian Shen's fist. Not only that, it even healed as soon as it was inflicted. The saint ruler was left with nothing but the utmost shock. "Impossible. Simply impossible," the saint ruler repeated to himself. Unwilling to accept the scene in front of him, the saint ruler borrowed the powers of space to teleport to Jian Shen's front to deliver a swift chop into him. This one stroke was further enhanced with the powers of space to allow it to travel even faster than before. Even Jian Shen wouldn't be left with enough time to respond. After all, this was a move that could only be accomplished by understanding the profound mysteries of the world. The trajectory of the blade charged for Jian Shen's waist and successfully drew some blood. The might behind this stroke was powerful, but it failed to bisect Jian Shen in two as the saint ruler expected, but at the very least, it had left Jian Chen with a serious wound. Furthermore, it allowed him to inject his qi into Jian Chen's innards to try and destroy him from the insides. But before he could try to do so, the chaotic force inside of Jian Chen's body instantly devoured the qi. Jie Tai, newbies, fight with me. Jian Chen commanded. With the three of them united, the saint ruler from the sect of Dragon and Tiger would be completely outclassed. Jie Tai was someone that couldn't even injure Jian Chen, let alone the saint ruler of the sect of Dragon and Tiger. To begin with, Jian Chen wasn't even someone who could step in the same realm as they. The mysteries of the world were not something to be belittled. He had a decent understanding of the illusionary flash, but not anything that could contend with a saint ruler. From far away, Jie Tai and newbies immediately flew forward to stand against the saint ruler from the sect of Dragon and Tiger together. You two are saint rulers. Even though he had reached the fourth heavenly layer himself, going against two other saint rulers was no easy task. To have a 2 versus 1 fight like this would put him at a disadvantage by forcing him on the defensive. A battle between the four would be extremely intense. The heavens would fall and the earth would shatter. The sun and moon themselves wouldn't be able to cast any light once these four began to battle. Even 1,000 kilometers away, strong individuals were able to feel the slight tremors of the battle. Naturally, the saint ruler of the sect of Dragon and Tiger soon found himself backed against a wall. It took only a short moment for the four to inflict a serious wound and dash away the previously heroic look on the saint ruler's face. Today we behead a saint. You'll rest here forever. Jian Chen laughed as he brought a chaotic force-filled fist into the back of the saint ruler, causing him to spit out a mouthful of blood. The offensive might of this fist was far stronger than what the saint ruler could handle. Ha ha ha, beheading a saint, very well. Today, we'll behead a saint ruler. Newbies laughed out loud before clawing at the saint ruler's chest. He stripped away part of the man's chest, causing the man to scream out loud in pain. Chapter 643, Escaping after being beaten, ha ha ha, beheading a saint. Very well. Today, we'll behead a saint ruler. Newbies laughed out loud before clawing at the saint ruler's chest and stripping away part of his chest to cause the man to scream out loud in pain. Beheading a saint? You've not the ability. The saint ruler spat malevolently. Disappearing from the three's line of sight, the saint ruler then reappeared 100 meters away by using the powers of space. His figure now was a haphazard one. His hair was a mess, his face was pale from blood loss, and his previously white robes were torn and dyed red from his blood. No longer was he the same elegant figure from before the battle. Utilizing the illusionary flash, Jian Chen caught up to the saint ruler and began to attack him again so as to avoid giving the saint ruler any time to breathe. Newbies and Jie Tai soon afterwards caught up to surround the saint ruler. Vehemently, the saint ruler glowered at Jian Chen. Jian Chen, I'll remember this day. He spat between gritted teeth. There'll be a day in the future that I'll return this twofold onto you. Without further ado, the saint ruler disappeared into thin air to escape from the area, disappearing from sight and leaving behind the heaven saint masters. Having seen the saint ruler run away, Jian Chen let out a sigh of regret. He's escaped, what a shame. Today was a great chance to kill him. Staring off into the direction in which the saint ruler reigned, newbies spoke. How could a saint ruler be that easy to be killed? Unless in front of an indomitable might, a saint ruler can escape without a worry. His strength was of the fourth heavenly layer, a tier higher than both Jie Tai and I. If his comprehension of the mysteries of the world is far better, there would be no way for us to chase up to him. Jian Chen looked to newbies. As a golden-striped silver snake, newbies' fighting strength was unbelievable. Those of the same rank of it wouldn't be able to fight newbies, and even those of a rank higher than newbies would find themselves at a stalemate. Furthermore, as a golden-striped silver snake, newbies had access to a venom that was known as one of the 3 strongest on the continent. Throughout the entire battle, newbies hadn't bothered to use his venom and still managed to injure the saint ruler. In fact, newbies had only shown a mediocre amount of his strength so that he would be seen as equal to Jie Tai in strength. But it was because of this deception that Jian Chen felt rather unhappy, but he didn't say anything about it. A saint ruler is hard to kill. If they wish to run, then it'll be hard to give chase to one that can leap 1,000 kilometers if they wished. Without a tracing seal of some sort, they'd be able to escape from the normal range of detection. But even then this way of running requires a hefty price. Jietai spoke in agreement with newbies. Narrowing his eyes, Jian asked, then how would we kill him? For a while, the two of them were quiet. It was Jietai that spoke up first, however. To kill a fourth heavenly layer saint ruler requires one of the two conditions. The first is to have a saint-tier battle skill. The second is to be a seventh heavenly layer saint ruler at the very least. With a saint ruler of that might, a fourth heavenly layer saint ruler has no means of escape. Then killing a saint ruler isn't as easy as I thought. Jian muttered under his breath. According to this knowledge, killing a saint ruler wouldn't be as easy as he thought. From far away, the 10 heaven saint masters saw that their saint ruler had ran away in defeat. Turning pale in fright, each one of them immediately made a hasty retreat away from the area as well. Noticing their movements, a sharp glint entered Jian's eye. Since you're here, leaving now won't be as easy as you think. Swinging his palm, a tremendous amount of energy flew towards the heaven saint master and locked the space around them. Then, the energy slammed into several of them without further ado. Boom! When the energy slammed into them, several of the heaven saint masters were killed instantaneously and fell back down to the ground as a result. For the 6th cycle heaven saint master Sect master Chris, the 5th cycle heaven saint master vice Sect master and another elder, they were able to escape death with serious wounds. But flight was still capable for them. We're going. Chris let out a raspy cry as he wielded the wind element in the world to encircle his body and hasten his speed out of the area with the other two. Jian didn't bother to give chase or kill them all. With the power he had now, he felt disinclined to try to attack them again. Let's head back now. Jian spoke. With the two saint rulers, Jian returned to where Ming Dong and the rest were on the mountain. Jian, don't tell me you've made a breakthrough into the saint ruler realm in the few months you were away? Brother, you're hurt, are you okay? The simultaneous voices of Ming Dong and 7 other voices called out at once in great concern and relief. As it were, Jian's strength caused a great deal of conflicting emotions in them. Not too far away, the several heaven saint masters of the flame mercenaries stared at the young Jian with a strange expression. He was far younger than they were, but the battle between him and the saint ruler of the sect of Dragon and Tiger had left them in amazement. In the short times they didn't see each other, Jian had managed to step onto the realms of the saint rulers. This was the realm that many of them saw as the ultimate finish line, the realm that they all coveted. But Jian had somehow managed to arrive there with barely any trouble at all. For a while, each one of them could barely hide their jealous admiration. Some of them were even a little envious, but still respected him. The distance between a heaven saint master and a saint ruler was separated by the river as wide as the cosmic river. As he was now, Jian was a figure that heaven saint masters should respect. But what they didn't know was that Jian was still a heaven saint master and not an actual saint ruler. After this one battle, the strengths of Jian, Jietai, and newbies were shown to the entirety of the flame mercenaries. With 3 saint rulers presiding over them, the status of the flame mercenaries would flourish even more. Even the problem that arose with the leak of the tungsten alloy deposit would be completely suppressed by this. They personally saw Jian, Jietai, and newbies beat a saint ruler into retreating. Then, they saw Jian personally kill nearly 10 heaven saint masters with a single strike. From what they witnessed today, they all knew that the flame mercenaries had what it took to be able to overlook the entire continent. With Jian's revealed skill, they couldn't even possibly imagine just what height his strength would reach in just a small amount of time. Having successfully beaten back the sect of Dragon and Tiger, the flame mercenaries returned to the palace. Within the palace, each of the highest-ranking members of the flame mercenaries were gathered for a conference. Since the tungsten alloy is revealed, we'll have no need to hide it anymore. Start mining it without the secrecy so we can mine them all out as swiftly as we can. We can avoid another unforeseen accident this way. Jian Chen spoke seriously. Although the flame mercenaries now had the strength to equal even the Shi family, tungsten alloy was far too valuable to be left alone on the continent. With such a tremendous deposit, he was worried that another force as strong as the Sect of Dragon and Tiger would show up. We've already starting the mining process, but progress is very slow due to the density and amount of ores. Even now, we've gone a slow way and only managed a small amount. We've even employed the finest artisans to construct the best tungsten armor to be made for our flame mercenaries to use, however. Yu reported. Nodding his head in satisfaction, Jian Chen spoke. With how large the deposit is, it'd be best if we get more people to work on it. This is a matter that shouldn't be delayed. As Jian Chen was conducting the meeting over the tungsten alloy, news of what had transpired between the Sect of Dragon and Tiger and the flame mercenaries flowed across the continent like wildfire. The energy that had been blasted away from the area could be felt by Heaven's Saint Masters within a certain proximity, and each one of them were shocked by the sensation. A battle between saint rulers was not often seen on the continent. That was due to the fact that most saint rulers were hermits that barely ventured out, let alone fought. News like this had caught the eye of the strongest in other areas. Many Heaven's Saint Masters had even gathered around the battlefield in interest and inquired the members of the flame mercenaries of what happened in great detail. With them making their inquiries, they've quickly learned that the leader of the flame mercenaries had reached the saint ruler realm and had also 2 other saint rulers acting with him in the group. The outsiders had been astounded by that and how strong the flame mercenaries were in general. Thousands of kilometers away within a deep cave, the saint ruler of the Sect of Dragon and Tiger sat within it with blood pooling around his body. With the help of a continuous supply of 6th-class radiant spirit pills, his wounds were already healed to a substantial degree. Jian Chen, the flame mercenaries, I'll make you regret this day. Just you wait. Don't think that having 3 saint rulers makes you invincible. There'll be a day where this old man will repay this humiliation tenfold. Forget about the tungsten alloy. The elder spoke ominously. Chapter 644, Gathering Helpers. It took 7 days for the saint ruler from the Sect of Dragon and Tiger to fully recuperate and heal from all the wounds he had sustained. Now that he could leave the cave, the saint ruler immediately blurred away into the world. Harmonizing with space itself, he traveled countless of kilometers within an extremely fast pace. Half a day later, the saint ruler reappeared at the depths of a particular mountain range after traveling for so long. The depths to this mountain range was a forbidden area for humans to step in, but there was a manner that not many people knew about in here. Even during the day, not a single human could be seen, or any sound at all for that matter, but the ground was kept nice and clean somehow. Descending down to the ground, the saint ruler floated in front of the gates to the manor. The Sect of Dragon and Tiger has come to pay a visit to the 4 Harmonies manor. His voice was soft, but the magic in the air had allowed his words to be spoken loud enough for the entire manor to hear it. The 4 Harmonies manor wasn't something that many people on the continent knew. It was a place that a single hermit sect had once sealed off so that they could cultivate in peace without having need to go out. For thousands of years, they had never once interfered with the outside world. It was only when they sought out disciples that they would venture out to find someone suitable with their teachings and help prolong their sect's lifetime. But other than that, the existence of this manor was something that only a few select clans and sects knew about. The saint ruler of the Sect of Dragon and Tiger was one of these few. A friend has come. What a pleasant surprise. Situ Qing, it's been a few hundred years since your last visit, come on in. Let us sit down and have a nice talk. A calm but elderly voice called out from within the manor. Letting out a laugh, the saint ruler flew inside before coming to a stop at the very center of the halls. Right in front of the hall gates, a middle-aged man wearing black robes could be seen already waiting for him. Senior, our teacher is waiting inside for you, please go in. The middle-aged man spoke to the saint ruler reverently. This middle-aged man was only a heaven saint master in strength and was thus not someone the saint ruler could bother to care for. Not even giving him a glance, he strode on in. The halls were of rather ordinary decoration. The wooden walls looked as if they had already managed to weather through countless years of wear and tear to look more like the walls to a peasant farmer's home. At the very center of the room was an old-fashioned circular table with a sackcloth-wearing elder there sipping a cup of tea. The fragrant aroma from the tea spread throughout the room and had a relaxing effect to it. As it appeared, this tea was a treasured item in this place. Walking straight into the room, the saint ruler sat down right in front of the other elder unceremoniously and stared at the tea-drinking elder. Even after so many years since our last meeting, you're still living a life of pleasure, it seems. I've lived my entire life like so. Uncontaminated by the outside world, and unpolluted by its dust. To live the life I've wanted, I've separated from the disputes of human society to attain the enlightenment of my heart. The elder laughed. Staring at the elder, the saint ruler let out one final sigh. I can't see through you anymore. Your strength has beaten mine. Break away from your mind and body and become detached from yourself. Free yourself from the fetters and chains of the world. Situ Qing, it's been 100 years now, and your strength is still where it was from then. Perhaps you should make your sect seclude itself completely from the outside world. Don't bother with the outside world. Don't worry for who lives or who dies. Don't care for who wins or who loses. None of that matters. In your current state, what use is there to be in the secular world? The sackcloth man spoke slowly. The saint ruler did not answer him for a while. We can talk about that later. Good show, I actually came here for a request to ask of you. Draining the rest of his tea in a single gulp, the elder placed the now empty cup back onto the table. I know. I can see that you've been injured recently. You must have come across trouble in the outside world. The saint ruler nodded his head with a dangerous light entering his eyes from the memories. Good show, I hope that you'll be able to lend me an arm. My enemy is far too terrifying to let live. If given too much time, then I will surely die in the future. Alas. The elder sighed. Situ Qing, you have too many complaints in your heart. To continue on like this would not be beneficial to you. Resolve the issue as best as you can. There is no point in a situation where only one can live. Shaking his head, the saint ruler replied, impossible. My enemy is merciless and has a heart that only knows revenge. Our grievances are far too deep now to simply waive. Between him and I, only one can live. And to try and resolve an issue with someone of the younger generation is another problem. He continued with gritted teeth. It is unsure if he'd even accept or not, but to even try to do so would be a great slap to my face. Situ Qing, you know me. No matter how deep our friendship goes, I will not help you kill another. The elder sighed. I know that, good show. I won't ask for you to help me kill. The enemy has 3 saint rulers in total, with them being at the 3rd heavenly layer at the very strongest. I wish for you to help me stop 2 of them. Situ Qing pleaded. The elder hesitated. Debating about it for a while, he finally replied, very well, Situ Qing. For the sake of our friendship, I'll have helped you this very once. But this will be a private matter between us 2 and not with the 4 Harmonies manner. I will not help you kill anyone. After discussing the matter with the elder, Situ Qing and he left the 4 Harmonies manor together. Traveling in a certain direction for an hour, the 2 of them finally arrived at a hidden cave. It was brightly lit within the cave thanks to the torches. With how they danced and flickered to illuminate the interior of the cave, a single blue-robed elder could be seen seated on top of a giant boulder in the center. Almost as if stuck within a deep meditative stance, the elder did not look as if he noticed the 2 newcomers. Not a footstep could be heard from Situ Qing as he walked into the cave. Looking at the elder, he spoke, By hi, it's been 30 years. How's your recovery going now? I've been fully healed since 20 years ago. Situ Qing, say it, why have you come for me? The elder spoke calmly from his seat. By hi, I've come here today with a request for you to help me with today. Situ Qing spoke. You saved my life 30 years ago. Whatever it is that you need my help with, I owe you that at the very least. What do you wish for me to help you with this time? The elder opened his eyes to look at Situ Qing. Situ Qing hesitated for a moment. To have this blue-robed elder owe him a favor was not a very easy thing to do. He was in fact wondering if using this favor to deal with Jian Chen was worth it or not. Jian Chen's talent is far too terrifying. He must be dealt with at once so that he won't be given time to grow in the future. Resolved, Situching gritted his teeth and spoke, "By Hai, I'll have to use this favor to have you help me deal with a person. What is their strength, and when do we strike?" The elder spoke. "A junior that you should be able to kill with ease. The sooner we strike, the better. In fact, it'd be best if we go now." Situching spoke. "If that's how it is, then that's how it will be." The elder opened his eyes completely to rise up into the air without a sound. "By Hai, after this matter is over, why not come to my sect of Dragon and Tiger?" Situching asked expectantly. But the elder shook his head expressionlessly. "My enemy is far too strong. Even I am helpless to fight them. Are you not afraid that your sect of Dragon and Tiger would be destroyed as a result of having me join?" Situching blanched without another word. Despite being very willing to invite an expert such as him to join his sect, the enemies of Bai Hai frightened even him. Jian Chen, Nubis, and Jetta Tai spent the following days overseeing the flame mercenaries while prepared to defend themselves from a counterattack from the sect of Dragon and Tiger. Their enemy was without a doubt a powerful foe and added to the pressure of mining the tungsten alloy. With 3 saint rulers protecting them, the entire flame mercenaries had been motivated to unprecedented levels. Their war banners flew in the air above where the tungsten alloy was, while the very best artisans they could find and employ worked the ore to the best of their abilities every day. Each end of the day, the ore they managed to harvest had been enough to make anyone that saw it envious. Chapter 645, Manufacturing Radiant Spirit Pills in the Blink of an Eye. 3 days passed by since the saint ruler was defeated. Life in the kingdom grew peaceful, but with the fact that 3 saint rulers were ruling over the flame mercenaries caused a wave of smaller mercenary groups and members to come ask to join the flame mercenaries in hopes of gaining the status of being one of them. Jian Chen and the entire group went through a series of secret discussion before finally deciding that they would take in the best members into the group to supplement their strength. The flame mercenaries of today was not the same as the ones from before. The additions to the flame mercenaries had naturally gave no small amount of joy to the ones already in there. To them, the more that joined the flame mercenaries, the more honor that would be brought to them and the more resplendent they would be to the rest of the continent. Those that were not able to join the flame mercenaries had been disheartened, but they didn't give up on the hope just yet. If anything, they felt all the more motivated to go back and focus on their cultivation even more so that they could meet the standards in the future. Day after day, the flame mercenaries swelled up in size. As if traveling to see a famous landmarks, a multitude of Earth Saint Masters came forward to join the flame mercenaries. There were even 3 Heaven Saint Masters that came for that same reason. In a short burst of time, the flame mercenaries increased in numbers and power once more. The entire reason behind this exponential growth was due to the fact that there were 3 saint rulers acting as the ones in charge for the flame mercenaries. Individuals like these were a symbol of the utmost might that were practically unrivaled in strength. While not completely invincible, they may as well be in the eyes of the average mercenary. By noon, Jian Chen was seated within a luxurious room that once used to be the bedroom of the old king of the Heavenly Eagle Kingdom. Out of the entire palace, this was the most luxurious room. Within the room, Jian Chen was currently discussing some of his experiences on cultivation with Bai Lian. For the sake of guiding her onto the path of cultivation, he wanted to make sure that there would be barely any deviations or side paths as possible. A report for the captain. Alchemist Tian asks for an audience. At that moment, a guard appeared right outside the room to speak respectfully to Jian Chen. Allow him entry. Jian Chen spoke at once. Yes, Captain. The guard immediately retreated out of the room to bring the alchemist in. A thin and sallow He-Yun came walking into the room. Compared to his initial appearance, He-Yun was practically an entirely different person. In order to accomplish the task set for him by Jian Chen, He-Yun worked without rest. So by the time he had managed to refine the 10,000-year-old into a successful product, he was on the brink of fainting. Report for the captain. Despite what the heavens might have had in store for me, I've successfully procured 2 pills from the essence of the Biyao fruit. Jian bowed down to Jian while speaking as respectfully as he could. In his hands was a single wooden box that was presented for Jian to take. Opening up the wooden box, Jian could see 2 small bottles resting inside. Gingerly taking one of the bottles and uncorking it, a fragrant aroma immediately wafted into the room and dulled the senses of everyone in it. Basked in the powerful but docile power of the pill, Jian nodded his head in satisfaction. Master Jian, you've worked hard these past 2 days. For your assistance, I will be sure to treat you well. What might it be that you desire? Jian will do my best to reward you. Jian hesitated to speak for a moment before bowing. Captain, I've no other request but that my family would be able to live here in peace. Laughing, Jian replied, how could such a small request be enough to reward you for your efforts? Master Jian, I've already prepared a set of rules for the flame mercenaries. As mercenaries that often have to fight and risk their lives on a daily basis, injuries are unavoidable. I wish to establish an alchemy hall where pills can be manufactured to specifically treat the flame mercenaries. Master Jian, would you be interested in the spot as the hall master? From today onwards, the entire alchemy hall will be yours to govern. Upon listening to Jian, Jian had a joyous look to his face. If the captain sees this one that highly, then I, Jian, will work to my dying breath to serve the flame mercenaries. Jian spoke. He knew that the flame mercenaries were strong, and if he were to become an alchemical hall master, it would bring all the more glory to his own family. He had not been expecting this outcome, but it had been to his liking. Master Jian, on your way back, please assemble all of the alchemists you know. From today onwards, the alchemy hall will be yours to govern. As long as the flame mercenaries have enough pills to recover with, then the business of the hall will be up to you. Order as you will. Jian spoke. As the captain decrees. Jian spoke respectfully. As Jian prepared to dismiss the alchemist, a sudden thought struck his mind. Master Jian, what might you know about the alchemical procedure of procuring radiant spirit pills? Captain. Jian hesitated. While radiant spirit pills aren't hard to make, it requires the assistance of a radiant saint master to create even a small amount. Does the captain wish to create some? Correct. That was the meaning I had in mind. Master Jian, what exactly is required to make one of these? Jian asked. When it came to the miraculous effects of these pills, Jian was all too experienced with them. He had once wanted to try and make them himself, but because no alchemist or procedure was found, he hadn't been able to fulfill the hope he had till now. Captain, a radiant spirit pill isn't hard to make. It's rather simple and only needs a few simple ingredients to make. But a radiant saint master must infuse their radiant saint force into it and then sealed so that it doesn't escape. But to infuse radiant saint force into a pill is the same as having a person stick their finger into stone. It isn't easy to do, and not many radiant saint masters can do so. Thus, radiant spirit pills aren't easy to make in large quantities. Master Jian, when you return, procure several radiant spirit pills for me. I will go find a person that'll be able to do this task. Jian spoke. Chapter 646, Class 3 Spirit Pills. Yes, Captain. I'll make haste to procure a radiant spirit pill shell upon my return. Jian replied before leaving the chamber. After Jian left, Jian and Bai Lian were the only 2 who remained in the brilliant room. Jian's eyes rested upon the wooden box on the table with unhidden glee apparent on his face. With these pills, Bai Lian would undergo a transformation that would give her a talent for cultivation. With this pill, she would face no bad obstacles in her path. Lianer, hurry up and eat it. From now on, you won't ever need to worry about your strength being behind. Jian handed the bottle to her. The aroma coming from the bottle had been enough to send Bai Lian into a tizzy. This pill was made from a 10,000-year-old heavenly resource. She hadn't ever seen of a 1,000-year-old heavenly resource before, let alone a 10,000-year-old one. She was once upon a time the golden daughter of the Yun family. 1,000-year-old heavenly resource would have been an undeniably precious treasure for her family back then, but be given something 1,000 times more precious than that, she felt conflicted. At the same time, she was touched that such an item was given to her. Such consideration like this filled her entire body with warmth. Brother, thank you. Aside from my mother, you are the only one that treats me so well in this world. Bai Lian blinked away her tears. She could barely hold back the droplets flowing from her eyes. Jian Shen laughed and wiped away some of her tears with his hand. Silly girl, you're my little cousin. By all rights, I should be treating you well. Now, let's have you take this pill first and talk later. Who knows how much time it'll take for you to completely absorb it all. Jian Shen spoke before putting the pill into her mouth. As soon as the pill passed through her throat and into her stomach, a warm but docile energy began to spill forth from the pill and flow throughout her body. Subconsciously closing her eyes, Bai Lian tried her best to use the meditation techniques Jian Shen had taught to her to help guide the energy through her body. At the same time, Jian Shen closed his eyes as well to use his will to assist Bai Lian in her attempt to convert the energy into her own. The Geo fruit was a 10,000-year-old heavenly resource. The spiritual qi in it was far more potent than anyone could possibly imagine. To have the spiritual qi split into 2 pills only showed just how much energy there was in total. It would take several dozen days for a normal person to absorb the energy, but with the help of Jian Shen, Bai Lian would only need half a day to absorb the energy within the pill. With the completion of the absorption, Bai Lian's body would undergo a complete transformation from an average body to a body completely suited for cultivation. Her aptitude for cultivation would skyrocket to a level comparable to De Gufeng or Huang Wan at the very least. A 10,000-year-old heavenly resource could alter the human body. It was an item that could make a saint ruler drool at the mouth, and its miraculous effects made 1,000-year-old heavenly resource insignificant. Not only was her body altered, Bai Lian's strength also skyrocketed exponentially. In just this half-day alone, she went from someone who hadn't even condensed her saint weapon to a being that surpassed the limitations to break through to become a saint master. All that was left was a single step more to become a great saint master. Indeed, a 10,000-year-old heavenly resource was life-altering. Its effects on a person were miraculous, but to use them to only alter someone's body was a simple matter. Even the mighty Qinhuang kingdom would be loath to use it due to the difficulty of obtaining a heavenly resource. In short, it was an absolute waste to use it on a normal person, and not a single person would be willing to go through such a waste. Brother, I've become a saint master now. How unbelievable is this? In just half a day, my strength has gone from barely a saint to a saint master. Exuberant with just how much strength was coursing through her body, Bai Lian never thought that she would wield such power before. The power of a peak saint master was more than enough for Bai Lian. Even Jian Shen himself felt happy to see the smile on Bai Lian's face. Lianer, hurry up and familiarize yourself with your new strength as fast as possible. Thanks to the 10,000-year-old heavenly resource, she would experience no problems with her growth. If anything, her foundation in cultivation was set in stone now. Afterward, Jian Shen gave a few more personal notes of how he would often circulate his strength to familiarize himself before leaving her in peace. She would have to stay in the room herself for better results. Although she was a saint master now, she became one far too fast. Thus, her saint force almost felt foreign rather than being as easy to operate as her arm. Time was needed to familiarize herself. As soon as he walked out of the room, Jian Shen could see that the day was already getting dark. Realizing that an entire day had passed by, Jian Shen could sense that the night patrol were already making their rounds nearby. As the elites of the Flame Mercenaries, each one of these patrolmen were of exceptional strength. The alchemist Tian came scurrying over at this precise moment with a small box clutched to his chest. Fatigued, he said to Jian Shen, "Captain, your subordinate has managed to procure a batch of radiant spirit pill shells as you ordered. They are all within this box." He presented the box to Jian Shen. Accepting the box offered to him, Jian Shen could see that there were several small palm-sized bottles all arranged nicely in it. Plenty of brown pills could be seen through the glass exterior of the bottles, but these pills looked rather unsimilar to the snow-white radiant spirit pills that Jian Chen was used to. Master He Yun, you said that radiant saint force needed to be infused inside in order for these to be called radiant spirit pills, correct? Jian Chen asked again. Correct. As long as radiant saint force is infused, then the shell will seal in the radiant saint force without a drop of it leaking. He Yun answered. Master He Yun, you've worked hard. Go and take a proper rest for now. Jian Chen dismissed He Yun before taking the box of pill shells to his own personal chambers. Instructing the maids and guards to not have anyone bother him, Jian Chen locked himself in his own room. As it were, the room had gone through a complete rehaul in decoration. While plenty of things remained from the past, just as many things had been added to the room, such as a nice and fluffy bed. Jian Chen's bedroom was the bedroom that the king of the past Heavenly Eagle Kingdom once owned. The old decorations and furniture that the king had once enjoyed were all gone. With Jian Chen being the new owner, there was no way Yu Yu and Bai Lian let that room possess lingering memories of its past owners. On the bed was a completely white, fluffy, small tiger sleeping comfortably. In the past 2 days, it had managed to consume 20-something thousand-year-old heavenly resources, and was in the midst of absorbing their energy. Taking the small box to the middle of the bed, Jian Chen took out one of the bottles and cracked it open to take out several empty pill shells. A series of slightly gray-brown pills tumbled out, but Jian Chen levitated them, keeping them from falling onto the ground, with his mind power. These pills were thumb-sized. There was around 30 pills total. Jian Chen found it extremely difficult to calm himself as he looked over each pill with his eyes. Whether or not these pills would become radiant spirit pills were completely reliant on the upcoming moment. Jian Chen was no stranger to the precious nature of the radiant spirit pills. If they were said to be life-saving miracle drug, that saying would not be an exaggeration. If a person were to sustain serious injuries, that person could consume a radiant spirit pill to aid in their recovery. It couldn't completely heal their wounds in one go, but it could at the very least temporarily stabilize their conditions and prevent their body from further decay. If there were enough radiant spirit pills, they could even bring back a man on the brink of death to a healthy state. Their uses and effects were unquestionable to anyone. However, the pills were rare in numbers and expensive in price. Radiant spirit pills became extremely rare objects on the continent because of the wide-scale hoarding of what remained. Only a few top-class experts and households would possess them, but even they only owned a few. The main reason why Jian Chen wanted to manufacture radiant spirit pills was because of his close friends and family. Should he make enough for them all, he wouldn't have to live each day concerned for their well-being should they come across an enemy. If something were to happen to them while he was away, the radiant spirit pills could at least prevent the worst from happening. Refocusing on his thoughts, Jian Chen exhaled to stabilize himself. Closing his eyes, he began to separate the radiant saint force from the world. He moved it into the space in front of him. As things were, Jian Chen was a 6th-class radiant saint master. This meant that he belonged to the higher echelons of radiant saint masters, so with practically just his mind alone, a faint flow of milky white light started to converge in front of his chest. With time, this light grew brighter and brighter, and in no time at all, it became a rich white sphere of light that illuminated the entire room in its warm white glow as if the room had become a world of snow. As soon as Jian Chen was able to guide the radiant saint force with his hands, he began to try to infuse the pill shells with the radiant saint force. In the beginning, he came across some resistance as He Yun said before. To try and force his radiant saint force inside was like stabbing a hole into a stone using the finger. The average person wouldn't be capable of that. This was the most difficult part of making a radiant spirit pill, and was also the most limiting stage in the process. However, even this difficulty barely posed a challenge to him. He was a 6th-class radiant saint master with his powerful mind ability. Therefore, he was able to successfully infuse the pill shells with the radiant saint force. Jian Chen managed to fill the shells completely with an unending flow of radiant saint force. The previously gray-colored shells began to turn milky white before finally becoming as white as snow. When the shells became completely white, it meant the pills had reached the utmost capacity of what they could contain. No matter how much Jian Chen tried, he couldn't add any more radiant saint force to them. The shell would only keep what it could contain while leaking out the surplus. Ceasing his attempts, Jian broke off control and allowed the concentrated radiant saint force to dissipate into the air. Very quickly, the snowy white room turned back to its normal dusky atmosphere. With another thought, Jian levitated the 30 radiant spirit pills into his hands. He admired his own handiwork with a satisfied smile, and knew that he had succeeded. However, when he sensed just how much radiant saint force was in them, his eyebrows furrowed together. These have to be Class 3 radiant spirit pills, they're very lacking in efficacy. What a shame that these pill shells limit how much radiant saint force can be contained in them. Otherwise, I would have made even better pills. Chapter 647. The theory behind pill making. Jian was not too pleased with only making Class 3 radiant spirit pills. I wonder what allows more radiant saint force to be infused into the pills. Could the pill shells themselves be the limiting factor? Jian thought. Storing the radiant spirit pills he made into his space ring, Jian exited his chambers. A soldier then led him to where He-Yun was resting. As the new hallmaster for alchemy, He-Yun had a fair amount of status within the flame mercenaries now. Hence, He-Yun had been given his own residential area within the palace. It came as a large surprise to see that the high and mighty saint ruler of the flame mercenaries came to personally seek him out. Despite being an alchemist, which garnished him a decent amount of respect within the kingdom, even he would have to bend the knee and bow to a heaven saint master, let alone a saint ruler that stood on top of even heaven saint masters. There's no need for work, Master He-Yun. I came here to ask several questions. Let us sit down and talk. Jian smiled kindly as he sat down at a nearby table. The captain only needs to ask for He-Yun, and He-Yun would come running as swiftly as possible. How could I dare have the captain come see me? Overwhelmed by Jian's kindness, he hurried to form a reply. Sitting down in the seat opposite of Jian, He-Yun grew nervous. He was in the presence of a saint ruler, and even if that saint ruler was many years his junior, He-Yun was still extremely flustered. On the Tian continent, power dictated everything. Master He-Yun, I came here this time to inquire about several aspects with the radiant spirit pills. If I may, what are the highest level pills I could make with the pill shells you made for me? Jian asked. Captain, the pill shells I gave you were made using ordinary ingredients, so I think that the pill shells I made can only be Class 3 radiant spirit pills at the very highest. The ingredients act as a limiter, sealing enough radiant saint force to be classified as a Class 3 radiant spirit pill. If one wishes to craft even higher classed pills, then one must use even rarer ingredients to construct the shells. Master He-Yun, would you be able to help me craft higher class pill shells then? I am in need of radiant spirit pills no less than the 6th class. Constructing radiant spirit pills corresponded with the level of the radiant saint master. Following that logic, Jian would be able to craft Class 6 radiant spirit pills since he was a 6th class radiant saint master. Thinking hard about the task, He-Yun responded, Captain, I have the ability to make the shells for Class 6 radiant spirit pills, but the ingredients are far too precious. The pills require ingredients at least 1,000 years old. While not heavenly resources, they are still ingredients of expensive prices. Master He-Yun, make a list of whatever ingredients you need and I will have people collect them at once. Shortly afterward, a small list was made with the ingredients required to make a Class 6 radiant spirit pill. With the list in hand, Jian left He-Yun to his own devices. He commanded people to gather the ingredients on the list as quickly as possible. With Jian personally commandeering the request, the ones who were called to serve were quick to return with the items. Only a single day was required for the ingredients to be gathered. The 1,000-year-old ingredients, usually expensive in price, were found in the depths of a nearby mountain. Thus, they had been harvested swiftly. With all the ingredients at hand, the newly recovered He-Yun was sent straight back to his workshop to undergo the alchemical process. This time, it took 2 whole days for 100 radiant spirit pill shells to be made and given to Jian. Jian wasted no time at all when the pill shells were given to him. Closing himself off in his room, he began to undergo the process of infusing radiant saint force into them. Crafting Class 6 Radiant Spirit Pills was far more difficult than crafting Class 3 Radiant Spirit Pills. Jian was only able to craft 3 Class 6 Radiant Spirit Pills while taking the same amount of time it took to craft 30 Class 3 Radiant Spirit Pills. Since they were far more sturdy in shell, infusing Radiant Saint Force into them was far harder than their lower-grade counterparts. Jian could only make 3 at his current skill level. Half a day was spent by the time 3 Class 6 Radiant Spirit Pills were made. These pills were about a thumb in size and glowed with a milky white light. Jian levitated the pills in front of himself with a smile on his face. The reason why he was crafting these Radiant Spirit Pills were for his friends and family. While he was a Radiant Saint Master, he couldn't always accompany them during their journeys. Should an unexpected danger befall them, a Radiant Spirit Pill could save their life in his place, so making some would take plenty of weight off his shoulders. Crafting 3 Class 6 Radiant Spirit Pills took up a fifth of my mental strength. Following that number, I should be able to craft 15 pills before my energy is expended. Jian thought to himself. Looking at the nearby dozens of shell pieces, he muttered, 3 is not enough. I need to craft even more of them. Having said that, Jian floated another 3 pill shells. He then started to gather the Radiant Saint Force in the world, trying to infuse it with the pill shells once more. The next few days were relatively calm. Absolutely nothing happened, and the flame mercenaries were able to continue with their mining without a hitch. Every day was a new harvest of tungsten alloy, and the amount they had in store was accumulating at an inconceivable rate. The vein that was being mined became a heavily guarded area by the flame mercenaries. Practically every force they commanded stood there as silent watchers to prevent anything from happening. Just as Jian started on the third day of crafting the Class 6 Radiant Spirit Pills, an overwhelming might immediately flooded the area with its pressure. The clouds and wind in the sky immediately grew turbulent, and the overflowing energy in the world started to act up as well. Little Jian, come out and accept your death. An elderly voice boomed across the sky. Reverberating for kilometers around, the powerful voice had been loud enough to make the walls of the palace shake violently while some people felt their eardrums pop. Clapping their hands to their ears, the ones affected the most let out a wailing sound from pain. Chapter 648, A Powerful Enemy. Little Jian, come out and accept your death. An elderly voice boomed across the sky. Reverberating for kilometers around, the powerful voice had been loud enough to make the walls of the palace shake violently while some people felt their eardrums pop. Clapping their hands to their ears, the ones affected the most let out a wailing sound from pain. Jian's eyes flew open instantly. He had been in the midst of infusing some pill shells with Radiant Saint Force. With just a thought, the gathered Radiant Saint Force flashed once before dissipating into the air. You've finally arrived and with friends. Jian muttered to himself. The urge to kill began to radiate from his eyes. He stored the 3 unfinished Radiant Saint Force into the bottles before he flashed away out of the palace. Jian looked very mysterious as he flew through the air with the wind element wrapped around his body, making it glow cyan. As Jian flew through the palace and up into the air, the aura leaking from him was majestic and ready for battle. At the same time, another 2 bursts of energies made themselves known from the palace. The sudden occurrence of both led to the space around the palace to freeze up. With so many saint rulers gathered here, their auras were already clashing against one another with such pressure that everyone down below found it hard to breathe. Their hearts were trying their best to keep beating, but their lungs seemed refused to work, not letting them breathe. The graceful white robe wearing Jian and the proud gold robe wearing newbies flew out shortly after. They turned into beams of light as they followed Jian into the sky. Several seconds barely passed before Jian, newbies, and Jian were assembled several thousand meters in the air. Shoulder to shoulder, each one of them icily observed their opponents. Right in front of them were 3 expressionless men. Of the 3, one of them was the saint ruler of the Sect of Dragon and Tiger. The other 2 looked as if they were past their 70s, but their eyes were filled with an abstruse light reminiscent of the stars in the night sky. Of these 2, one of them wore a blue robe and had white hair that looked as if it had never experienced any grooming before. The elderly man's disheveled appearance made him look as though he was a beggar. His hands were crossed against his chest and his eyes seemed to be gauging the three figures in front of him. The other wore robes made from what appeared to be sackcloth. Unlike his companion, his face was peaceful-looking. No killing intent could be detected from him, but there was a sharp aura that could be felt in its place. With these two factors, he resembled a being who would stand alone outside the secular world, but his eyes were by no means extraordinary. Combined with his simple clothes, this elder looked more like an elder enjoying a life of peasantry out in the mountains. Jian Chen's expressions hardened as he took in the three saint rulers. 3 was a number that was more than enough to make him feel a great deal of pressure. It had been hard enough to completely subdue one saint ruler with 3. By adding another 2 saint rulers with even more power to the mix, the situation would undoubtedly be worse off for him. Peals of laughter erupted from the saint ruler from the Sect of Dragon and Tiger when he saw Jian Chen's hardened face. Snarling, he said, "Jian Chen, I've said it that day ago. The humiliation I've suffered will undoubtedly be returned tenfold to you. Today will be your death day. Do you really think you will be able to kill me?" Jian Chen asked emotionlessly. With his chaotic body and its ultimate defenses, he was sure that the saint ruler would be hard-pressed to kill him. "Jian Chen, the situation doesn't look good. I can't make out the strength of the other 2. That means they're at the very least stronger than the one from the Sect of Dragon and Tiger." Jie Tai grimly confided with Jian Chen. Even Nubis clenched his fists so that the joints in his almost woman-like fingers popped one after another. "Jian Chen, this will not be easy. Their strengths are far too strong. That blue-robed elder is a saint ruler of the 5th heavenly layer and the white-robed one is even stronger at the 6th heavenly layer." Nubi's strength was at the same level as Jie Tai, but as a golden-striped silver snake, he possessed something that was magical. He was able to clearly divine the strength of the 2 saint rulers. Blanching from shock, Jian Chen looked at the 2 other saint rulers. He hadn't thought that the ones that the Sect of Dragon and Tiger would invite would be that strong. Now knowing the strength of his enemies, Jian Chen was no longer as confident as before. The gap between the 2 sides was just far too big to be made up for by any other means. A single saint ruler at the 5th heavenly layer could easily dispatch of Nubis and Jie Tai by himself. With a 6th heavenly layer and a 4th heavenly layer against him, Jian Chen would be powerless. Hiding his right hand behind him, Jian Chen retrieved a jade stone from his space ring and crushed it without making a sound. "Jian Chen, what do we do? We're no match for them." Jie Tai spoke in concern. "How unexpected to come across such experts as soon as I step into the human world." Nubis snarled. "There are many hidden dragons and tigers in this world it seems. Jian Chen, I'll fight the 6th heavenly layer saint ruler. The other 2 will be up to you too. Is that in your power?" Jian Chen asked in concern. The gaps between each saint ruler's heavenly layer were extremely large. Death would be inevitable for the 3rd heavenly layer Nubis to fight against the 6th heavenly layer saint ruler. "Aside from me, neither of you would be a match for him. I am a magical beast, don't forget that. My strength isn't comparable to a human of the same level, even more so as a beast from antiquity." Nubis spoke. "Since that's the case, should take care of that one. Your defenses are strong, but you are no saint ruler. You've no comprehension of the world mysteries, meaning that you do not possess the ability to fight him. Let me handle the saint ruler from the Sect of Dragon and Tiger then." Jian Chen spoke. The chaotic force in his dantian began to ripple across his entire body to maximize his defenses to their utmost limits. On the other side, the saint ruler Situ Qing was also planning something similar, killing Jian Chen. "Guqiu, please stop the other 2 for me. Bai Hai, come help me kill Jian Chen." Bai Hai's eyebrows knit together. He's using the elements in the world to fly. That means he isn't even a saint ruler. To use the 2 of us against one, isn't that using a bit too much for far too little? Bai Hai, don't underestimate him. This brat has a talent that outshines anyone else in history. Even you'll be amazed. We must fight him together and kill him. If not, then he'll cause no end of trouble for us. The Saint Ruler spoke before charging at Jian Chen with Wuxia and Biyao not too far behind. Hiss. Out of nowhere, the soul-piercing hiss of a snake could be heard as Nubi's entire body turned golden. The next second, his entire body transformed into that of a snake about half a meter thick. His transformation made him into a beast that inferior magical beasts could not compare to. Even the length of his body was shockingly long at what seemed to be 10,000 meters. By the way he was coiled up in the air, his entire body looked as if it could wrap around the entire world. There was also a duality of golden and silver colors flashing on its body. This was the regal golden-striped silver snake at its mightiest. No more precautions could be made for a saint ruler of the sixth heavenly layer, so Nubis had to show his true power all at once. His sudden transformation had left the three opposing saint rulers utterly speechless. For a good while, nothing could be said or done as they stared at the giant snake coiled in the sky. He was a magical beast. Situ Qing gasped. Golden-striped silver snakes are beasts that have lived since long ago. Their poisons are unequaled. Wuxia cried out as well. His eyes narrowed ever so slightly, and even his previously amicable expression gained a tint of steel to it. A Class 7 golden-striped silver snake had a poison that could threaten the life of even a saint ruler. The blue-robed Biyao stared at Nubis with a grim light in his eyes. Did it come out of Cross Mountain? However, Nubis had already sprung into motion. His body trembled slightly with enough force to shake the world around him as a golden light emanated from his body. Then, with blinding speed, Nubis flew toward Wuxia to trap him inside his coil. I shall handle this old one. The other two are up to you too. A coarse hiss sounded through the air. When Nubis transformed, even his voice had changed. Now, it was indistinguishable whether Nubis was a male or female. Chapter 649, Gathering Experts from Every Direction, 1. With Nubis fighting to stall the strongest of the three enemies, Jian flew charged at Biyao to challenge him to a battle. Originally, Biyao had planned on fighting Jian Chen with Situ Qing, but he had no other choice but to give up on that idea because of Jian's assault. And so Situ Qing was left to battle Jian Chen by himself. Since he knew just how strong Jian Chen was, Situ Qing decided to use his entire strength from the get-go. Bringing out his saint weapon at once, he charged at Jian Chen and swung at him again and again. With each swing, a crack appeared in the air. Every swing he made surpassed what the world could handle. Every single portion of Jian Chen's body was covered by chaotic force, pushing his defenses to their limits. Thanks to his clothing, the gray glow from the energy was concealed underneath. Using the illusionary flash, Jian Chen was almost able to teleport place to place like a ghost to fight the saint ruler. Jian Chen, you'll die today for sure. Situ Qing laughed as his blade blazed red with fire. The intense flames shooting off from his blade evaporated the very air around it, bringing the temperature to a sweltering height. There was a crimson flash of light as the saint ruler's blade became one with the world as it traveled for Jian Chen's neck. Thanks to Situ Qing's understanding of the mysteries of space, Jian Chen was unable to dodge his strike with his non-existent understanding of space. Since he was unable to dodge, the blade immediately zoomed in to make contact with his body. Ha! Eyes glowing bright, Jian Chen urged even more chaotic force from his dantian before infusing them into his fist to slam into the incoming blade. If he couldn't dodge, then he'd just have to fight head-on. The chaotic body was his greatest advantage against a saint ruler. Bang! Both of Jian Chen's fists made contact with Situ Qing's weapon, causing an immediate whiplash of energy to break out and quake the area around them. Jian Chen had not come out unscathed. A terrifying wound on his hands appeared where the blade had cut halfway through them. The saint ruler's stroke had been used the utmost power, so Jian Chen's fingers were mangled almost to the point of no return. The immense pain from the damage inflicted to his fingers caused Jian Chen to wince violently, but his hands began to regenerate at an accelerated speed because of the chaotic body. In just a moment's time, a third of the wounds had healed up and the bones themselves had started to fuse together. A powerful boost had been granted to Jian following the synthesis of the chaotic force and body. This boost was an obscenely powerful regenerative force. With how fast he could regenerate and heal his wounds, he was practically untouchable to the world. Jian, let's see how long you can last. Situ Qing hatefully spat. Unsurprised that Jian could handle his attack, Situ Qing struck out again with his saint weapon. On the other side, the immensity that was Nubi's body coiled around the entire area where the poorly dressed Guqiu was, leaving everyone else unable to see what was happening inside. Bang! 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 One after another, a series of muffled blows exploded from within, reminiscent to the sound of a beating heart. Following these blows, Nubi's entire body seemed to give a violent shake. Ta! As if lightning went off within Nubi's body, another burst of sound could be heard. The shock wave from that blast rippled past and out around Nubi's body, cracking the ground beneath. The golden prison that was Nubi's body suddenly spanned across the sky like a long golden rope or a ribbon with a shiny luster. As soon as the prison was beaten away, a gray wisp of poisonous smog was exposed to the world. Almost like how a dragon would move, the smog billowed in every direction, mixing the air with its poisonous miasma. Soon enough, the air was dangerous to breathe in while the radius of the miasma continued to increase. The poison of the golden-striped silver snake was extremely potent. Even Jietai, Baihai, and Situ Qing, who were fighting far away from Nubis, felt lightheaded after breathing in the noxious fumes. Only Jian remained unaffected. The poison of a golden-striped silver snake is as strong as the legends say. The blue-robed elder said, using a serious voice. Each of the three fighters immediately stopped breathing and consciously avoided the area where the poison had assimilated into the air. Many of the people in the city below had already breathed in the miasma by accident. Those people promptly fainted from its effects. The previously clamorous city down below instantaneously became as still as a ghost city. The streets were filled with people who had fainted from the poison, and only those who had reached the Earth Saint Master realm managed to withstand the poison to some degree. Even then, their bodies swayed slightly where they stood, looking as if they would fall in any second. Bai Lian and Yu were the only ones that were not yet Earth Saint Masters within the palace, and thus had promptly fainted on the floor. Only 100 Earth Saint Masters were in the palace. Each and every single one of them tightly clenching their noses. From what they knew so far, the poison would only affect them if they breathed it in. Tai Ta was the only exception to this scene. He was the only one that stood there with a vacant stare at the sky-bound battle up above. It seemed as if the poison assimilating through the air was completely harmless to him. Idiot! What are you so dazed about? There's poison in the air. Hurry up, cover your face. Ming Dong urged him. An antidote appeared in his mouth before he ate it, but it served no use. Taking a deep whiff of the air, Tai Ta gave a questioning mutter. Is there really poison? I don't feel anything though. But just to be safe, he clenched his nose shut like the others. In the sky, Nunis was still in his snake form. He extended his jaws and began to take in a huge breath of air. Quickly, the poison that was in the area began to fly toward Nubi's mouth, and in no time at all of the poison was completely gone from the area. With the poison gone, Guqiu could be seen again in clear sight. His eyes were closed shut and his face was a lot more ashen than before. The poison had affected him heavily, and a black wisp of smog could be seen spiraling up from his body. It's no wonder you're called an ancient beast from the past with a poison like this. Your reputation isn't an empty one, I can bear witness to that. Guqiu's eyes opened to reveal completely white eyes devoid of any poison. A crimson light danced across Nubi's eyes as he glared at Guqiu. His jaws opened wide to hiss out, "Old one, the poison from the great Nubis cannot be so easily neutralized. The great Nubis might not be able to kill you, but let's see if you'll be able to do anything else with me here." With the final word being hissed out, Nubis and Guqiu began to fight with one another again. A smog of poison continued to obscure their battle. Jietai had been fighting the blue-robed elder quite passionately as well. The two of them continued to strike at one another with powerful blows that felt as if they could split apart the world. Since he was up against a saint ruler 2 heavenly layers stronger than he was, Jian couldn't afford to hold back. He struck with all that he had whenever possible. On the other hand, his opponent was fighting with the utmost ease as if there was no pressure at all. Each heavenly layer that separated a saint ruler from another was extremely massive. A deficit like that couldn't be made up easily, unless one was an ancient beast like newbies. The battle between Jian and Situ Qing had been especially bitter for Jian. Each blow from Situ Qing was infused with the powers of space so that Jian was left unable to dodge it. After such an extensive battle, Jian had sustained many injuries and his clothes were stained with his blood, but despite the bad state he was in, his fighting prowess hadn't weakened in the slightest. If anything, the battle had served to empower him and make him fight even harder. The indomitable force that was Jian astounded even Situ Qing. Trying to kill Jian was as hard as killing a cockroach and 100 times harder than killing a dragonfly, but Situ Qing was still sure that he could kill him. Biyao, stop wasting your time with him and lend me a hand here. We need to kill Jian. Situ Qing implored Biyao. He desperately wanted to kill Jian today and would need the 5th heavenly layer saint ruler to help him. The blue-robed elder nodded his head after hearing Situ Qing's request. While he was battling Jian, he had been taking careful notes of the fight between Jian and Situ Qing, so even he was extremely shocked by Jian's fortitude. Without any more misgivings, the blue-robed elder launched an all-out attack against Jian. Thanks to the large difference in strength between the two, only a few more exchanges were needed before Jian was dealt a devastating blow to the chest, sending him flying to the ground below. Without Jian to stop him, the blue-robed elder didn't hesitate. He immediately speeded toward Jian. The power of the world began to congregate in his hands as he delivered a palm strike to Jian's chest. Even Jian felt himself grow grim at the powerful energy in that palm. He could sense that the power in his attack was several times stronger than the attacks of Situ Qing. It was very possible that his chaotic body would be unable to withstand it. Brother Jian, I, Huang Tianbai, have come to help you. At that moment, a loud but elderly voice boomed from the far horizon. During the next second, a white figure sped over to them at an incredible speed. Chapter 650, Gathering Experts from Every Direction, 2. At the most crucial moment, the Patriarch of the Huang family came speeding forward. A wave of energy washed over the entire area with so much pressure it seemed to freeze the entire place. The fist of the blue-robed elder stopped just barely an inch away from Jian's chest. Turning his head, the elder looked at the incoming person with narrowed eyes. Blast it all. I didn't think that Jian would have such a powerful amount of assistance. Situ Qing wailed bitterly. The incoming person had an aura that terrified even him. This person was stronger than he was. This person is equal to me in strength as a 5th heavenly layer saint ruler. Situ Qing, it seems like you'll have to deal with Jian yourself. The blue-robed elder spoke expressionlessly. Situ Qing gave a slight nod of his head. He knew that this newcomer was a strong one that only Biyao could handle. I thought that Wuxia would be able to handle the other two while Biyao and I would be able to fight and kill Jian together. I didn't expect one of them to be the ancient golden-striped silver snake, able to fight one-on-one with Wuxia. This brat, if I knew he had such powerful help, then I would have asked even more experts to come. I very much doubt the Shi family would decline even the tungsten alloy deposit if offered. The saint ruler thought bitterly to himself. With the addition of a 5th heavenly layer saint ruler into the fight, it would be very hard to kill Jian now. As if one with space, the patriarch of the Huang family sped toward the fight with impeccable speed. When he first spoke, he had been extremely far away from Jian, but by the time he finished speaking, he was already to where Jian was before moving to strike the blue-robed elder. Becoming wary of him, Biyao lashed out with a palm strike filled with the world's power to greet him. Bang! When the two palms struck each other, it was as if an explosion was made between them. Following the ear-deafening explosion, a wave of energy billowed out, wreaking havoc wherever it spread. Huang Tianba and the blue-robed elder were equally matched in strength. Almost as if they were pillars that held up the heavens themselves, the two men stood dignified in the air. Even though the energy from their strike originated in between them, neither of them moved a single inch from their spots. Soon after, the berserk fallout of energy faded away and Huang Tianba stood protectively in front of Jian like a stone steel. Now that there was a gap between them and the enemy, Huang Tianba turned around to look at Jian. As soon as he saw his blood-stained figure, Huang Tianba's face immediately grew dark. "Brother Jian, are you all right?" he asked in concern. Jian nodded his head with a dry smile. It was fortunate that Senior came hurrying over. Any later and I'm sure this junior would have been in trouble. As long as you're fine, that's good, brother Jian. Hurry up and heal from your wound. Let me deal with this, Huang Tianba announced before turning his head to look at the fight between newbies and the poorly dressed elder. In truth, he was shocked at the sight, and even though he couldn't exactly tell who the two were, their might was unquestionable. However, what really shocked Huang Tianba was the fact that Jian had been able to find such help. Far away, newbies and Wuxia were still fiercely battling with each other. Although their battle had started in the air, one of the two would sometimes knock the other down toward the ground, and as soon as they were on the ground, the fight would progress for some time before flying back up into the air. Furthermore, the longer they fought, the farther away they moved away from the others. Their fight was so fierce that whenever they exchanged attacks, the sky would echo with a devastating boom and crumble the nearest mountain into pieces. A ceasefire temporarily happened following Huang Tianba's entrance, allowing both fighters a moment of reprieve. Staring at each other in silence, both fighters waited for the other to make a move. Earlier in the fight, Wuxia managed to knock Jian back to the ground. Given the interruption in the fighting, Jian was given enough time to make it back up to Jian, but his face was pale and traces of blood could be seen at the corner of his lips. Clearly the attack he sustained from Wuxia had not been a light one. "Huang Tianba, Saint Ruler of the Huang family, I didn't think I'd see even you here today. It's been 500 years since our last meeting. How unexpected to see that you were able to reach the 5th heavenly layer." Situ Qing laughed coldly in apparent greeting to his acquaintance. Leveling a cold glare at the Saint Ruler from the Sect of Dragon and Tiger, Huang Tianba said, "Situ Qing, I advise you to cease your actions against brother Jian and offer up your apologies. End your grievances at once or you'll not live to regret it." Situ Qing's eyes flashed with a cold light. "Huang Tianba, you speak a little too soon. The days that Jian will live are numbered. Do you think you'd be able to change that by yourself? And according to what I know, your Huang family isn't in good straits either. Your feuds aren't easy to neglect, so I should be advising you to back away from this fight or else you will earn another strong foe for your Huang family." Ha 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 ha. Huang Tianba laughed out loud as if mocking Situ Qing. "Situ Qing, if you were to say these words to me before, I would perhaps be intimidated, but today, your words and these friends of yours hold no threat to my Huang family. If they dare approach, I cannot guarantee that they'll be able to return home alive. Is that right?" "Huang Tianba, it's been a scant few years since we last met, but you've seemed to have become senile since then if you'd ignore even my Hongfu clan. Allow me to experience just what capabilities you have to back up what you say." The voice of an elder suddenly rang out after Huang Tianba with a powerful volume that reverberated across the sky. Just 10 kilometers away, two black-robed figures suddenly appeared out of nowhere, flying to where Jian was. The sudden arrival of this speaker caused Huang Tianba to falter slightly. His face grew dark before he whirled around to look at the two black-robed elders. "What brought you two here?" "The two of us just only arrived here 2 days ago. At first we planned on watching the show from the sidelines, but when you came running here, Huang Tianba, with your arrogant words, neither of us could let it stand. Let us three fight then, and see if you have the power to ignore even our Hongfu clan." One of the two elders laughed. Promptly snapping a jade stone in half, he threw the pieces into the air so that the turbulent winds could carry them away. Chapter 651, Gathering Experts from Every Direction, 3, A cold sneer crept onto Huang Tianba's face when he saw the black-robed elder crush the jade stone. Jian Tian, Jing Feng, it would appear that you invited some helpers before you arrived. You guessed correctly, Huang Tianba. Allow us too to inform you of our good news. Our Hongfu clan is now allied to the Yan family through a bond of blood. From today on, whatever sorrows or celebrations are to be had, our two families will live through both of them together. Thus, we've invited the lord of the Yan family, Yan Nan, to join us today. One of the two smiled. The Hongfu clan had two saint rulers who were brothers by birth. One of them was called Jian Tian and was at the third heavenly layer. More importantly was the fact that he owned a ruler armament that allowed him to fight on par with a fourth heavenly layer saint ruler. Even a fifth heavenly layer saint ruler would have to put a little more effort in fighting him. Jian Tian's younger brother Jian Feng was a second heavenly layer saint ruler with a ruler armament of his own so that he could fight against a third heavenly layer saint ruler and defend against a fourth heavenly layer saint ruler. Paired with his brother, they could contend with a fifth heavenly layer saint ruler. Jian Tian, Jian Feng, does your Hongfu clan also wish for a share of the tungsten alloy? Huang Tianba sneered. That is indeed our goal. The Hongfu clan didn't bother to deny the truth. The tungsten alloy is an extremely precious object. Even a mountain of purple gold wouldn't be worth a deposit of tungsten alloy, let alone a tremendous wealth like this. How could our Hongfu clan ignore it? Huang Tianba snorted, Jian Tian, Jian Feng, trying to take tungsten alloy by yourselves is nothing more than the dreams of a madman. Do you not know that Jian Chen, the captain of the Flame Mercenaries, is also an imperial protector of the Qinhuang Kingdom? Don't even bother mentioning the Qinhuang Kingdom. Our Hongfu clan may be hermits, but we aren't deaf to the world. With the restoration of the previous regime of the Holy Empire of the Three Great Empires, the subordinate Qinhuang Kingdom has no other choice but to get involved. They can hardly protect themselves, let alone spare a finger in this matter. Jian Tian spoke. I underestimated your knowledge, it seems. Huang Tianba grumbled. No sooner did Huang Tianba finish speaking when another figure came speeding toward them at the speed of lightning. Coming to a stop right by the side of Jian Feng and Jian Tian, this newcomer stood in the air with an intimidating amount of pressure radiating from his body, stifling the air around. The newcomer looked to be in his 40s in age. His hair was down to his waist, but it was being blown this way and that in the air. His stature was bulky and his figure was dowdy with tan skin to complement his build. In truth, he looked more like a violent black bear. Staring calmly at this man, Huang Tianba said, Lord Yan, it would be best for your family to stay out of this affair. Understand that the tungsten alloy is an object that'll burn the hand of those that touch it. Even with the Yen and the Hongfu, you will not be able to safeguard it from the others. Combined with us, the possibilities of taking the tungsten alloy would perhaps go up. Situ Qing coldly laughed. Cupping his hands in greeting to the three men, he said, My friends, I presume you know that judging by our earlier fight, the two of us were on par with one another. Victory won't be an easy task, but if we join forces, then the deposit will be ours. Would a 50-50 share suffice with you three? Excellently so. The saint ruler from the Hongfu clan agreed straight away. He knew that out of all the saint rulers here, his party was currently the weakest group. If they didn't join forces with one of the two, they'd lose for sure. Let that be it then. We'll have Bai Hai deal with Huang Tianba, and the four of us will fight to kill Jian Chen. Situ Qing spoke. Jian Chen was the target of his grudge, and Situ Qing wished to kill him. However, he lacked the power to do so. If he didn't hurry to improve his odds, he'd perhaps be the one to lose his life instead. That'll do. Then let us fight at once. The sooner we take the tungsten alloy, the better. A dream is only a dream during the night. Lord Yan calmly spoke without ever once considering Jian Chen to be a foe to contend with. One moment. Jian Chen's voice suddenly made itself known as they were talking to one another. Jian Chen, what more do you have to say before your imminent death? Situ Qing sneered. As if mocking Situ Qing, Jian Chen gave him a strange look. Saint ruler, do you really think that if you ally yourself with the Hongfu clan and the Yan family, you'd be able to take the Tungten alloy? How laughably naive you are. I need none of your concern, Jian Chen. Situ Qing's eyes flashed crimson. Do you really think you're safe yourself? There's no way for you to escape today's fate. Very well, then allow me to show you how I'll escape this fate today. Jian Chen smiled before turning in another direction. Seniors, you have come all this way today, there is no need to hide yourself. If you could, please show yourselves. He cried out loud with a voice that echoed further and further beyond into the landscape. Ha 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 ha. Jian Chen, you truly do deserve the title of being the king of mercenaries. You have such power at such a tender age, and you're able to sense even us as well. Not bad at all, you are a praiseworthy one. An elderly voice replied to Jian Chen with an equally loud volume. Then just 10 kilometers away, 2 figures in white materialized into the world, but following their arrival, another 3 elders suddenly made themselves known as well. Originally ecstatic with the chance of being able to win, Situ Qing's joy plummeted as soon as he saw these 5 men appear out of nowhere. Even the 3 saint rulers from the Hongfu clan and Yan family grew stern as well. The arrival of these 5 changed the battlefield drastically. Everyone, we've seen our fill of entertainment. Let us all reveal ourselves then. One elder smiled as he addressed the empty air around him. One by one, figures began to appear out of nowhere throughout the area. In a short few moments, over a dozen unknown figures filled the sky, and all of them were saint rulers. They had been watching the fight since the very beginning, but they had managed to hide themselves thanks to a secret method. Thus, they stood a few dozen kilometers away to watch. By now, Situ Qing's face had grown as dark as a shadow. He couldn't see through the strength of a dozen of these newcomers, meaning that they were all saint rulers of the 6th heavenly layer at the very least. Even Nubis and Guqiu ceased their fighting with so many people appearing out of nowhere. Sensing the strength of these figures, even they grew tense. Reverting back to his human form, Nubis flew back to Jian Chen with a cursory glare at the figures around them. There's trouble. Many of these individuals are 6th heavenly layer saint rulers. One of them is even a 7th heavenly layer saint ruler. I cannot help you with this, Jian Chen. A slight fluctuation occurred over Jian Chen's face, but he remained calm to say, they're for sure after the tungsten alloy. What a hot item this tungsten alloy is to attract so many strong individuals, but still, there's no need to worry. We aren't easy to bully. Correct, there's nothing to fear. Huang Tianba folded his arms over his chest and laughed. Nubi's eyes shined brightly for a few seconds when he saw just how confident these two were, but he said nothing. On the other side, the ashen-faced Guqiu arrived back at Situ Qing's side. Situ Qing, the situation isn't looking very well. Situ Qing nodded his head slightly, but when he saw the pigment of Guqiu's face, he hurried to say, Guqiu, you should hurry to flush the poison out of your body. With the strength of the poison of a golden-striped silver snake, even a 3rd heavenly saint ruler would be able to fight you. Nodding, Guqiu closed his eyes and started to prepare the process of detoxifying his body. By now, all of the experts had convened together. One of the elders cupped his hands in greeting to Jian Chen. I am Mo Ziming, Grand Elder of the Divine Sword Sect, and this one to my side is Jian Su. We are pleased to meet you, friend. This junior greets his seniors. Jian Chen returned the greeting as well. Divine Sword Sect? I didn't believe that even they would come. The Divine Sword Sect has existed for tens of thousands of years, an age longer than even the ancient clans. Huang Tianba remarked in shock. Even Jian Chen had to look at these two individuals in a new light after that. We are from Baihua City. Brother Jian Chen, I am Bai Yan. An elegantly dressed man cupped his hands and saluted him gracefully. One by one, the individuals gathered around the area began to introduce themselves to Jian Chen. All of them had extremely powerful individuals as patrons and were thus a part of an extremely strong group. 2 of them were from groups stronger than the most ancient clans, and one of them was a saint ruler of the 7th heavenly layer. That alone was enough to match an ancient clan. Despite their extremely lofty statuses, they treated Jian Chen with the utmost respect. Prior to their entry, each one of them had made their inquiries on Jian Chen. Therefore, they knew a decent amount of information. Now that he was comparable to a saint ruler in strength, it was enough for them to speak as equals, being courteous to a genius with limitless potential. Unless there was absolutely no choice, none of them wanted to make Jian Chen their enemy. Seniors, if my guess is correct, you all must be here for the tungsten alloy. Jian Chen spoke. Quick to the point, I see. Then we won't mince words either, brother Jian Chen. Your guess is correct. Our Biyao city came here today for the tungsten alloy. We hope that brother Jian Chen will resign yourself to part with 20% of the deposit. Naturally, we won't mistreat you, this will be an extremely beneficial trade to the both of us. The graceful-looking Bai Yen spoke. Our divine sword sect wishes to trade for the tungsten alloy as well. Similarly, we hope that brother Jian Chen will be fine with trading 20% of the deposit to us. The Grand Elder Mo Ziming opened his mouth to speak. Our Nanyang school, shortly afterward, the groups began to offer out their prices in hopes of taking a part of the tungsten alloy. Each one of them had originally planned on taking the tungsten alloy by force, but with how chaotic the situation was with so many forces gathering, no one would be able to monopolize it all. So thus, they would have to change their plans. Jian Chen's face had grown dark after listening to everyone's offers. Every one of them wanted 10 or 20% of the deposit. While that wasn't a big amount individually, there'd be none left for him if he were to divvy it up like that, and that would not be worth it at all. Suddenly, a melodious voice made itself known. He, little brother Jian Chen. It's been a few years since we met, yet you've changed so much. Perceiving this change has left this sister awe-shocked, you know. Chapter 652, Tianmu clan. This familiar voice alarmed Jian Chen. Whirling around with a startled expression, Jian Chen could see another 3 figures flying through the air. The most eye-catching figure was the young woman in between the 2 other figures. From appearance alone, she looked to be in her 20s at the very oldest. She wore a red robe with an equally red ribbon tied at her waist in a pretty-looking bow. Her appearance was almost as if she was a seductress stepping straight out of a painting. Her white jade-like arms were exposed to the sun, making them look illustrious and resplendent, and combined with the beautiful slender white legs that were also exposed, she was a living example of a woman that could seduce any man that looked at her. Her appearance was without a doubt a being of beauty that could bring a country to its knees, but compared to Yu or Huang Wan, this woman was still clearly lacking. However, even if she did, she possessed a rare kind of beauty. The womanly charm that exuded from her body was of a superior degree in comparison to Yu or Huang Wan, however. Right beside this woman was an elderly man and woman. The both of them wore simple clothing, and from how they appeared, the 2 of them looked to be a married pair. Tianmu Ling, it's you. Jian Chen remarked. He was shocked. This woman was one of the few outstanding youths that participated in the gathering of mercenaries. He, little brother Jian Chen, how unexpected that you remember me. I feel quite happy about that. Tianmu stared at Jian Chen full of interest. Her right hand touched her lips as if to hide a small laugh. Little brother Jian Chen, it's been a few years now, I never would have imagined that you'd reach such heights. It's hard to believe that you could fight even a saint ruler now, but this young lady has nothing but the utmost respect for you now. Looking down at his blood-soaked clothes, Jian Chen forced out a smile. Tianmu Ling, spare me your sarcasm. While I can fight a saint ruler, I've done nothing but take a beating from them. Pealing with laughter, Tianmu Ling said, little brother Jian Chen, you might as well throw your lot in with this older sister. I can protect you, and even though my strength is weaker than yours as an Earth Saint Master, this older sister can guarantee that no saint ruler will bully you. Jian Chen's heart skipped a beat. According to what she was saying, he could guess that Tianmu Ling's clan was most likely so tremendously powerful that even these people gathered here today were of no importance to them. Curious, Jian Chen glanced at the 2 elders beside her. Just inwardly, he remarked to himself that these 2 elders surely had to possess an extremely terrifying strength. Blast it all, what bad luck we have. Why are such strong humans coming out one after another? That elderly male next to that young female stands at the zenith of the Saint Ruler realm. Only one more step is needed for him to enter the Saint King realm, and that elder female is at the 8th heavenly layer. The two of them could stop all the Saint Rulers here if they wished. Nubi's curse to Jian Chen. Jian Chen's heart skipped a beat as he looked on in shock at the two elders next to Tianmu Ling. Waves of shock spread through his heart as he registered the news given to him by Nubis. He hadn't thought that Tianmu Ling would be able to manage such a terrifyingly strong power like this. These two elders were at the 8th and 9th heavenly layer. Seeing how Jian Chen was silent, Tianmu Ling looked to the two elders next to her and held their hands coyishly. Grandpa Jun, Grandma Wang, you have to help little brother Jian Chen, okay? I'll ignore you if you don't. Ha ha ha, very well then. We'll help him for you, great-granddaughter. As long as your little brother Jian Chen is willing to compromise with us, we'll lend him a hand. The one named Grandpa Jun lovingly replied to her. His eyes hid none of the doting affection he felt. Thus, it was obviously apparent that he held Tianmu Ling in high regards. What a decent young man this one is. Unarrogant and sensible, unlike the other heirs who know nothing but arrogance. His talent is decent, and his potential is massive. But more importantly, he has grown to be rather handsome. A good match for our Linger. This grandmother approves. The one known as Grandma Wang laughed. Grandma Wang, don't be so irresponsible with your words. There is nothing but an innocent friendship between your great-granddaughter and Jian Chen. It's not what you think. Tianmu Ling complained with a pout to her lips. Smiling benevolently, the old woman spoke. Yes, it was not but this old woman's daydreams. Your grandmother won't speak of it again, so please don't be so mad, great-granddaughter. Of course I won't. Tianmu Ling smiled before turning her head to wave at Jian Chen. Little brother Jian Chen, come over here. Grandpa Jun and Grandma Wang will protect you. Tianmu Ling, you must be here for the tungsten alloy as well. Jian Chen inquired. And quick to the point. This old woman likes that. Indeed, we came all the way here specifically for the tungsten alloy. Little boy, you cannot monopolize this deposit all by yourself. You do not have the power. Why not give half of it to our Tianmu clan? We will ensure that you will be protected, and we will take care of any other troublesome matters. You will not be dissatisfied. The woman made an offer. Upon mention of the Tianmu clan, a shift of mood was displayed on everyone's faces. The Tianmu clan? So even the Tianmu clan has come over here. The Grand Elder from the Divine Sword Sect spoke with skepticism. Even Huang Tianba looked grim at the mention of the Tianmu clan. The tungsten alloy has a great deal of allure if even the Tianmu clan has their interest piqued. The Tianmu clan are one of the ancient families with powers that reign supreme over many others. They even have a Saint King overseeing their clan. He whispered to Jian Chen. Saint King. Jian Chen sucked in a sharp breath at the mention of a Saint King. Existences like those were almost at the same level as gods on the continent. So even one of the most ancient families has come. A clan like theirs could challenge even the Gilligan clan. Nubi sighed in slight surprise. Brother Jian Chen, the tungsten alloy is extremely precious. You can't give even a little of it to anyone. Huang Tianba mentioned to Jian Chen. Little brother Jian Chen, don't bother listening to that old man. The tungsten alloy is indeed precious, but the fact that you're trying to hold it for yourself would make others red at the eyes after hearing such news. Without the power to defend it, it'll only bring trouble onto you. It's best that you cooperate with my Tianmu clan. Came Tianmu Ling's sing-song voice. No one else spoke a word around them. While they themselves were of strong factions, they were only hermit clans and families in the end. Compared to one of the ancient families, all of them were of completely inferior statuses, yet no one was quite willing to give up. Even if it cost them an arm or leg, they wanted to make a deal for this precious treasure. So even the Tianmu clan has come. Jun Moheo, Wang Yanhong, I didn't believe that you two would be the ones who came. At that moment, another elderly voice reverberated through the sky as two elderly men came walking toward them, coming to a stop just 500 meters away. The sight of these two caused both Grandpa Jun and Grandma Wang to raise an eyebrow. However, it was Grandma Wang that spoke first. "Aoyuan clan, so even you've come for the tungsten alloy?" "What? He's from the Aoyuan clan?" Huang Tianba was thunderstruck. Staring fixedly at these two old men, he whispered, "The Aoyuan clan is a clan I've only heard mention of before, but today will be the very first time I've ever seen any one of them. The Aoyuan clan is also an ancient family that are as equally as famous as the Tianmu clan. I never would have imagined that two ancient families would appear within 1,000 years of one another. Another strong enemy has appeared. These two elderly males are of the 7th and 9th heavenly layer." Newbies bitterly revealed. More and more strong individuals were showing up out of nowhere, making the situation far more complicated than it should be. This was no longer a battle between isolated hermit families, it was now a dispute between ancient families. "Correct. We've come here today for the tungsten alloy. We will do what we must to get a portion of that tungsten alloy." One of the elders spoke. "It's a shame that you're too late. Half of the tungsten alloy has been given to us, the remaining half is for Jian to use. There is none left for you." The old woman next to Tianmu replied. The expressions of the two elders from the Aoyuan clan darkened when they heard what she said. Turning to look at the blood-soaked Jian, one of the two elders spoke unyieldingly, "You must be Jian. Since the Tianmu clan has laid claim to one half, give us the other half. The Aoyuan clan won't mistreat you. Whatever the Tianmu clan offered, we can provide the same." Jian's expression grew uncomfortable at this. The Aoyuan clan was simply far too much if they were trying to lay claim to what he owned. How unfortunate that your Aoyuan clan is also an ancient family. The way you do things is excessive. This tungsten alloy is for little brother Jian. How uncouth of you to try and take it without giving him any. Tianmu spoke crossly. The two elders from the Aoyuan clan looked hard at Tianmu. Killing intent poured from their eyes in massive amounts as one of them growled, "A mere Earth Saint Master dare comment on our Aoyuan clan? You must be tired of living. Pa. If you dare touch even a single hair of my great-granddaughter's head, don't even think about returning home." Jun Moheo took a sudden step forward. A mountain-like pressure began to emanate from his body with such power that any saint ruler beneath the 5th heavenly layer felt as if an actual mountain was pressing onto them. A saint ruler of the 9th heavenly layer was already at the zenith of their respective realm. Only one more step would be required for them to cross over into the Saint King realm, so the pressure that they could give off at a moment's notice was more than enough to intimidate any saint ruler beneath the 5th heavenly layer. "Tianmu clan, what is the meaning of this? Do you wish to make my Aoyuan clan your enemy? We do not fear you." The other elder from the Aoyuan clan declared before silently taking out a jade stone with his hand. Chapter 653, Jian has arrived. What? You wish to take on the two of us by yourselves? Jun Moheo coldly laughed, "Earth Saint Master, so what? If you dare bully my great-granddaughter, your bodies will remain behind here forever, so I declare. Even the helper that you plan on calling will meet their demise." The two figures from the Aoyuan clan had ugly looks on their faces. A mighty 7th heavenly layer was being humiliated and given no respect at all, but with how strong the enemy was, they had no choice but to accept their bitter fate. In the case that they really did anger Jun Moheo, it would be extremely dire for the Aoyuan clan. After all, he wasn't by himself. He still had Wang Yanhong, who was nearly as strong as he was with him. The two saint rulers from the Aoyuan clan stared balefully at Tianmu right in between the two elders. Even they were shocked to see that a mere Earth Saint Master was being so affectionately looked over by two supremely strong beings. If it was for her, they'd not hesitate to fight. Knowing this, the Aoyuan clan felt troubled that a conflict would actually happen. Sighing, the two elders regained their normal expressions and looked to Jian. "Jian, it would best for you to hand over the other half to our Aoyuan clan. Rest assured, our Aoyuan clan is an ancient family, We will not mistreat you. Perhaps it was because of the stiff words he had received from Jun Moheo, but his face was unnaturally dark. A glint of sharp light could be seen flashing from his eyes as if attempting to intimidate Jian Chen into accepting. Displeased, Jian Chen looked back at him with a wooden expression. He was not happy at the reception he received from the elder. My apologies, I cannot give half the deposit to your Aoyan clan. Jian Chen, think twice about the aftermath that would await you. Give it some consideration. I'll give you some time. The other elder ominously growled. Still resolute in his decision, Jian Chen shook his head. There's no need for that. I've made my choice. I will not give the tungsten alloy to the Aoyan clan. Little brother Jian Chen, you don't need to be afraid of the Aoyan clan. If they try to bully you, the Tianmu clan won't sit idly on the side. Tianmu Ling laughed. A forced smile crept onto Jian Chen's face as well when he turned to meet her stare. I appreciate your help, Lady Tianmu Ling, but this one should have enough power to protect the tungsten alloy myself. There's no need for you to waste your energy for me. Jian Chen's voice trailed off by this point as if thinking about what next to say, but this one has thought about the tungsten alloy. If the Tianmu clan has need for it, I'll offer some up to your clan then when all of the ore is excavated. His words caused Jun Moheo and Wang Yanhong to be taken back. Ha ha ha, and here I believe that the Tianmu clan truly did lay claim to half the tungsten alloy. What an unexpected outcome. One of the elders from the Aoyan clan laughed out loud involuntarily. Jian Chen, is there a problem with your head? I went through a lot so that you'd be able to keep at least half of the tungsten alloy, but you're refusing to accept our kindness. Don't you know? If not for me, you wouldn't even have a bit of it left. Tianmu Ling spoke in frustration. Her previous calm was no longer there to be seen since. She knew that if Jian Chen earned the ire of the two elders next to her, trouble would befall him. Ha ha ha. If Jian Chen wishes to monopolize the tungsten alloy, why not kill him? Once he's dead, the tungsten alloy has no master. Your Tianmu clan and Aoyan clan could split the deposit 50-50 then without fear of conflict. Situ Qing suddenly interjected. Now that even the ancient families were involved, his strength to defend was practically non-existent. By now, he had given up on taking the tungsten alloy and only cared about killing Jian Chen. The death of Jian Chen was the most important goal. A modest proposal. The elders from the Aoyan clan nodded in approval at Situ Qing's suggestion. A sinister smile was plastered across Situ Qing's face. There is no need for the esteemed ancient families to kill Jian Chen, however. Allow this one to do the honors. Guqiu, you deal with that magical beast. Jin Tian, Jin Feng, you deal with Huang Tianba. Bai Hai, you and I will kill Jian Chen. Very well. Huang Tianba, the grievances between our two families have accumulated for well over 1,000 years. Today, we shall end it all. With your death, your Huang family will follow you. Jin Tian laughed before drew a long sword with his hand. This sword was illustriously bright and radiated a white light. Following its appearance, all of the light in the world looked as if it had been amplified. A tremendous wave of energy gushed out from the sword as if a sleeping beast had finally awoken. Even the atmosphere felt rather docile around them as if cowering in fear. A ruler armament. Jie Tai cried out. A ruler armament. Jian Chen's heart skipped a beat as he stared hard at the long sword in Jin Tian's hand. This ruler armament was considerably larger than his old light wind sword, but it was still similar for all intents and purposes. Since it was a ruler armament, it'd be able to take in chaotic force without breaking. His heart refused to calm down. Even as he looked at the long sword, he could hardly contain the coveting look in his eyes. I must take this ruler armament no matter what. Jian Chen nearly howled to himself. His hands clenched together in excitement. Finding a ruler armament that matched him was not an easy task at all. A 5-meter-long spear appeared in Jin Feng's hand. This spear exuded an impeccable energy from it, befitting a ruler armament. The two saint rulers of the Hongfu clan were wielders of ruler armaments. Guqiu had already taken the chance to lunge for newbies. With newbies obstructed, Situ Qing and Bai Hai were free to chase down Jian Chen to try and kill him together. Choosing to hide their hands in their sleeves and do nothing, the two elders from the Aoyan clan stood off to the side. They planned on letting Situ Qing kill Jian Chen for them so that no master could lay claim to the tungsten alloy. From there on, the Aoyan clan and Tianmu clan could split the deposit without fear of conflict. Grandpa Jun, Grandma Wang, you have to help Jian Chen. He's no match for those two. Tianmu Ling pulled at their robes as she tried to plead for assistance. Dear great-granddaughter, this can't be blamed on your great-grandpa or great-grandma. We wanted to help him, but he decided to try and take the tungsten alloy all for himself. Let him reap the consequences of his own actions then. Jun Moheo explained. Tianmu Ling could only let out a sigh of regret at that. From this point on, she knew that there was no way that either of the two would help him. Jian Chen, prepare to die. On the other side, Situ Qing dove straight for Jian Chen. With the help of Bai Hai, Situ Qing was now more than capable of killing Jian Chen. Suddenly, the space around Jian Chen suddenly froze up, locking both Jian Chen, Situ Qing, and Bai Hai in place. Then the space to Jian Chen's side began to intensely ripple with energy. The very next second, a space gate opened up to reveal a white-robed middle-aged man. He walked out to stand right next to Jian Chen. There wasn't an extraordinary amount of energy emanating from this man. He resembled an ordinary man, but despite that, everyone could tell that his very person was one with the world. It was Ming Dong's uncle, the Grand Elder of Mercenary City, Tian Jian. Jian Chen pays his respects to Senior. Upon seeing this man, Jian Chen immediately assumed respectful posture. Tian Jian's appearance wasn't unexpected to him since he knew that the Patriarch of the Huang family had notified him with a jade stone. Huang Tianba pays his respects to Senior. Huang Tianba adopted the same respectful posture as well. Chapter 654, Precursor to Arrival. The sudden appearance of Tian Jian shocked every single saint ruler in attendance. Every single faction could hardly keep their own emotions in check as they gaped at Tian Jian in absolute shock. Opening a space gate into the world itself was a feat only a saint king could do. This white-robed middle-aged man was clearly an existence even more paramount than that of a saint ruler. Jin Tian and Jin Feng of the Hongfu clan were both aghast as they looked at Tian Jian. Looking at the still bowing figure of Huang Tianba, the both of them looked rather unsure of what to do, yet their faces were still as dark as before. Their archenemy Huang Tianba clearly knew this powerful entity, meaning that this was an extremely bad omen for the Hongfu clan. How unexpected to see that there's a saint king standing behind Jian Chen as well. Jie Tai thought to himself with fear. A saint king could turn their noses up to even an ancient family. In the case that an ancient family had one of those, they would practically fear nothing. Bai Hai and Situ Qing finally regained their ability to move as well. The two of them could only cease their pursuit of Jian Chen and look at Tian Jian in fear. Situ Qing in particular looked to be frightened to death. Tian Jian stood in the middle of the sky with not an extraordinary presence to be seen from his person, but his figure felt as if it was one with the world. If one wasn't paying too much attention to him, he would have most likely been ignored. Giving a cursory look around the place, Tian Jian's eyes hovered momentarily on Jian Chen before curiously glancing to the ground beneath him. At last, a baffled look appeared on his face, so there was a deposit of tungsten alloy here. The battle Jian Chen had been fighting in had originally started over the city, but as time passed, the battle had moved farther and farther away to the mountains where no one was. As it just so happened, these mountains were right next to the tungsten alloy. Senior, the tungsten alloy was originally found by this junior, but so many people came out of nowhere to try and lay claim to it. This junior lacks the strength to fight them all, so I wish to ask Senior to help settle this matter fairly. Jian Chen cupped his hands as he pleaded to Tian Jian. Even he knew that if he wanted to keep the entire deposit, he'd have to ask Tian Jian for help. There was no other way. Staring at the dozen saint rulers gathered before him, Tian Jian waved his hand. You may leave from whenceforth you came. He didn't say it explicitly, but everyone knew that he was clearly helping Jian protect the tungsten alloy. These saint rulers didn't dare say anything. With their strength, they had no power to offend a saint king. Even the two ancient families wouldn't dare to. Senior, we are from the Tianmu clan. We traveled thousands and thousands of kilometers in hopes of being able to win some tungsten alloy. How could we leave with just a word like that? Jun Moheo cupped his hands. Despite talking to a saint king, he wasn't intimidated. It wasn't as if the Tianmu clan didn't have one, so they could afford some elbow room. Sire, we of the Aoyun clan won't back down so easily. Whatever it takes, we the Aoyun clan will take some of it somehow. One of the two elders from the Aoyun clan spoke. Senior, if you stand behind Jian, our strengths are all the same then. We should all take a step back and split this deposit 3 ways. Our Aoyun clan, the Tianmu clan, and you will each take a part. The elder from the Aoyun clan suggested. Jian's eyebrows crinkled together. I don't wish to repeat myself a second time. This time, there was an icier hint to his voice. With Jian helping him now, the blockage in Jian's throat started to calm down a bit. Having him help out was such a huge relief. He would be able to resolve the problem with the two ancient families. Senior, this is far too much. The elder from the Aoyun clan remarked. The jade stone appeared in his hand again, and in the next second, he crushed it. What a surprise to see that Jian would have such powerful support. Even the two of us wouldn't be enough, let us go report to the Patriarch. Wang Yanhong whispered. That seems like the only option left. Jun Moheo nodded his head. A jade stone appeared in his hand as well, and along with the Aoyun clan's elder, he crushed it to notify the individual from their clan. Saint Kings could tear apart the space to travel inexplicably long distances at a moment's notice. As soon as the jade stones were crushed, 2 space gates immediately materialized in the sky near each other. Even before they could step through the space gates, a tremendous aura could be felt. Like a terrifying beast from the ancient past, their auras were extremely intimidating and froze the atmosphere. Even the air itself seemed to stop its turbulent spread, and the dozen saint rulers felt as if the breath in their throats suddenly refused to go down. The comparatively weaker 2 saint rulers from the Hongfu clan and Jeda Tai were especially affected by this pressure, so their faces were extremely pale. Even Jian himself felt his body unable to move, as if the world had been turned into a prison where he was denied any movement. Chapter 655, Jian's strength. Thanks to the space gates that opened up in the fabric of the world, the Saint Kings of the Aoyun clan and the Tianmu clan arrived. Although they were also Saint Kings, the Saint Kings of the Aoyun and Tianmu clan would made their entrance far more impressive than Jian. The pressure that accompanied their arrivals was far beyond what Jian's ordinary presence was. A white-robed and another gray-robed old man walked out of their respective space gates. Both of them looked to be in their 70s, and had eyes that shone with the brightness of a sea of stars. If one were to look at their eyes, it'd be possible that they'd be lost in them. The two of them stood right in front of their respective families, and their elderly bodies looked as if they were immortal figures that would never die. Practically anyone that looked at them felt a strange mystique wash over them, as if feeling that the world had recognized these figures as the strongest. We pay our respects to the Lord. We pay our respects to the Grand Elder. The elders from the Aoyunu and Tianmu clan both bowed their figures down to the waist toward the 2 Saint Kings respectfully. Shortly afterward, they began to recount a detailed explanation of what was going on. By now, all of the saint rulers gathered here from the other parties had moved far away. Each one of them had given up on the idea of taking a part of the tungsten alloy for themselves. There wasn't even a point to even think about it now. With the ancient families taking part in this affair and 2 more Saint Kings joining the fray, it had long since become a battle they couldn't participate in. The 2 Saint Kings came to a quick realization of what was going on. They quickly turned to look at the white-robed Jian, who was still standing there without a care in the world. Sire, who might you be? The Saint King from the Tianmu clan asked respectfully. Despite him being unable to see through Jian's strength, he didn't exactly fear Jian either. All Saint Kings could hide their strengths, making it hard for others to tell just how strong they were in general. I'm nobody important. This tungsten alloy isn't yours. Go back home. Jian plainly responded. From the way he talked, it was plain to see that he didn't see these two Saint Kings as a threat. Jian's words caused the Saint King from the Tianmu clan to darken in the face. His cavalier words demonstrated that he cared not that a Saint King was in front of him, thus angering the Tianmu clan's Saint King. Furthermore, Jian's tone was very monotonous, but his words were commanding by telling the two clans to return home. This was a direct slap to the faces of both the Aoyan clan and the Tianmu clan. From far away, the dozen hidden saint rulers all gave each other strange looks. They were all trying their best to guess Jian's strength and identity, who he was. Throughout the entire continent, there weren't many that could easily dismiss two ancient families and speak so rudely to them at the same time. The Saint King from the Aoyan clan grew solemn as well. Glaring at Jian, he spoke, "Sire, you are audacious. Telling us to go back home with just a single sentence. Do you think that you can fight the Tianmu clan and the Aoyan clan by yourself?" Folding his hands behind his back, Jian replied, "I don't wish to fight you, but it seems that if I don't, you too will not go away." How arrogant. "Sire, if you are so confident in your own skill, then allow this elder to bear witness to it." The Saint King from the Aoyan clan sneered before a condensed amount of world force began to form around his palm. With frightening speed, he flew toward Jian with a fist ready to punch. World force was the energy that a Saint King could wield. Compared to Saint Force, World Force was far stronger. It was incorporeal since it was an energy made of nothingness, but its strength was extremely potent. Still standing with his hands behind his back, Jian made no sign of moving. Instead, a bright gleam of golden light flew forth from his eyes, and shot toward the Saint King with frightening speed. The speed in which the golden light was traveling was incredibly fast. It easily pierced through the world force and dispersed it without a problem before continuing toward the Saint King without slowing. PFT. The beam of golden light struck the chest of the Saint King and tore through him as if he was made of tofu. The next moment, a small cavity the size of 2 fingers could be seen in his chest. 2 rivers of blood flowed forth from the wound that the Saint King sustained. Looking at the 2 wounds in his chest, the Saint King was astounded and could only look on in disbelief. The eyes of the Saint King of the Tianmu clan were as wide as copper plates. He could only stare at the chest of the Saint King of the Aoyan clan as blood continued to drip from it. Like everyone else, he was astounded as well. The saint rulers who were all looking at the fight were tongue-tied. Floored by the sight of this wound, not a single one of them could believe their eyes. Everyone was simply thunderstruck. Despite it happening right in front of their eyes, everyone just had to doubt themselves. A mighty Saint King had been easily injured right in front of them. "Gigi, Grand Elder, are you all right?" One of the 2 saint rulers was quick to respond. Flying to the Saint King, the faces of the saint rulers were especially white as they stuttered out a question. Their Grand Elder was a supreme Saint King. Through the eyes of the continent, these beings essentially stood on top of all. To be easily injured by someone who may as well be blowing dust off his shoulder was a mind-blowing event. It felt as if the Saint King hadn't heard either of the 2. He could only stare at the seemingly ordinary-looking Jian in shock. Who are you?" Fear filled his voice as he spoke. He knew he couldn't treat Jian with the same arrogance as before. Even the Saint King from the Tianmu clan withdrew his aura, looking at Jian in fear. Even he found it hard to believe that a tremendously powerful entity like a Saint King would be so easily injured by another. Nubis and Jian were stunned as well. Both of their faces knew only terror from the startling reveal of Jian's strength. Nubis most especially was lacking the usual look of arrogance on his face. Huang Tianba looked to Jian and Nubis and said, "This is the Grand Elder of Mercenary City. Hurry up and pay your respects." Although he was speaking to the 2 of them, Huang Tianba didn't bother to hide his voice, so all the others heard him too. What? He's the Grand Elder of Mercenary City. At the mention of his status, the ones who heard it gasped out loud. The two Saint Kings were no exception. For a while, everyone was far too dazed to say a word. Not a single person made a move either, but then, one of them bowed his head down to Tian Jian. This junior pays his respects to the Grand Elder. This junior pays his respects to senior. Jie Tai and Nubis immediately bowed their heads low in respect to Tian Jian. At this moment, the two of them felt their hearts leap into their throats. Not once had they ever thought that Jian Chen would have the powerful Grand Elder of Mercenary City behind him. You really are the Grand Elder of Mercenary City. The Saint King of the Aoyan clan exclaimed in shock. The next second, his face paled even more drastically than before. Chapter 656, Victory. The Saint King from the Tianmu clan could hardly contain his shock for Tian Jian, someone he had disregarded as unimportant earlier. He found it hard to believe that this person was actually the Grand Elder of Mercenary City, but what was even harder to believe was the fact that he would be the one supporting Jian Chen, the one with the tungsten alloy. The Grand Elder of Mercenary City was essentially the highest position of leadership in Mercenary City. They were the upholders of law for the city. The Grand Elder controlled even the several dozen saint rulers seated there. Thus, the Grand Elder was without exception someone the heads of the ancient families couldn't even be compared with. Not only was Mercenary City an incredibly strong faction, the Grand Elder himself had reached a terrifyingly strong level of power. In front of him, the Tianmu and the Aoyan clan were essentially powerless. But, just how? How does Jian Chen and the Grand Elder of Mercenary City even know each other? Tianmu Ling looked at Jian Chen in a daze. Despite being an Earth Saint Master, she was part of an ancient family. Her knowledge of these matters was far better than the normal person, so she knew just how important the Grand Elder of Mercenary City was. It was akin to being the absolute leader of the entire continent. AI. Jun Moheo regained his calm composure relatively quicker than the others with a sigh. How unexpected that he would invite the Grand Elder of Mercenary City. Let us cut the games. The only ones that could possibly fight Mercenary City would be the legendary Guardian clans. Linger, your friend here isn't as ordinary as we were led to believe. He's invited the Grand Elder of Mercenary City of all people. Inconceivable, quite utterly inconceivable. Who would dare try to take a portion of the tungsten alloy now? Wang Yanhong spoke to the still dazed Tianmu Ling. The Saint King of the Tianmu clan let out a deep breath before looking at Tian Jian in fear. This one, Tianmu Yuan, pays his respects to the Grand Elder. I did not think that the Grand Elder would appear here today. What a surprise for us. If there has been any offense committed by my Tianmu clan today, then I hope that the Grand Elder will find it in himself to forgive us. This time, the Saint King's words were far more docile in nature than before. There wasn't any more arrogance, and even his aura was more subdued. In front of the Grand Elder of Mercenary City, Tianmu Yuan didn't even have the right to be arrogant. No worries. As long as you give up your desire for this tungsten alloy, then there will be no problem. Tian Jian stated. Then, as the Grand Elder says, our Tianmu clan will no longer wish for any bit of the tungsten alloy. We'll be making our leave then. Tianmu Yuan replied. He then gave Tian Jian his goodbye, and by opening a space gate into the world, he, along with the other members of his clan, left the area. Grand Elder, this one has been disrespectful to you. I hope the Grand Elder will find it in his heart to allow this one, Aoyan Qingping, to offer up compensation. The Saint King of the Aoyan clan was completely submissive as well. He gave a deep bow to Tian Jian since he knew that he was in a tight spot. Even if Tian Jian forgave him, the fact that he and the Aoyan clan had committed an offense toward Tian Jian would be known to everyone. It was the Grand Elder of Mercenary City that he offended. Out of all the people on the continent, Tian Jian was one of the few that could not be offended. Go back from whence you came. That is the last time I will repeat myself. Tian Jian spoke calmly. He didn't seem to hold any emotion at all in his words. Yes, my Aoyan clan will leave straight away. We will definitely give up our involvement with the tungsten alloy. The Saint King hurried to respond before taking his clan with him through a space gate he made. In the blink of an eye, the two Saint Kings, who had arrived with a thunderous entrance, made a hasty retreat in defeat. Now that they were gone, the only ones left were the several hermit clans and saint rulers, such as Sita and the others. Honorable Grand Elder, our divine sword sect will no longer partake in this affair either. Honorable Grand Elder, we of Baihua City will no longer interfere with the tungsten alloy affair. Soon after, many of the hermit clans and schools began to pledge their non-interference with the tungsten alloy. With the Grand Elder there and the strongest ancient families gone, they had no other choice. After experiencing this, they were all now fully aware that the captain of the flame mercenaries, Jian, was an individual they could not be offended under any circumstances. Although his strength wasn't necessarily at a level where he could fight them, the mountain that was his patron stood at the very top of the pyramid of the continent. This time, Jian now had a name even among the hermit clans and families. This resulted in each of the saint rulers bidding a friendly farewell to Jian before leaving. Sita and the others each revealed hard looks on their faces. None of them could have imagined that their plans would change so drastically. The Grand Elder appearing out of nowhere had thrown a wrench into their plans, and now Sita and the two saint rulers from the Hongfu clan were scared to pieces. Why are you all in a daze? Hurry up and run. Sita had been the first to respond, snapping the others out of their confusion. Turning to run away, they quickly traveled several hundred kilometers at the fastest speed they could muster. To stay there now would be to wait for their deaths. The two saint rulers of the Hongfu clan, Baihai, and Guqiu hadn't hesitated either. Each one of them were traveling as fast as they could to get out of there. Where do you think you're going? Stop them. Jian cried out before chasing after Sita Tian, Jian Feng, escaping won't be as easy as you think. Why don't you stay behind and settle your grievances with me? Huang Tianba laughed. In his hand was a long, golden bow. He shot 2 arrows straight at the escaping Jian Tian and Jian Feng. Old one, our fight has yet to finish. Nubis hissed out loud before transforming into a golden light to chase after Guqiu. Tai didn't hesitate to chase down the blue-robed Baihai that had injured him earlier. Despite his strength being less than Baihai's strength, with the patron behind him, Tai wasn't afraid in the slightest anymore. Whoosh! Whoosh! The 2 golden energy arrows shot toward Jian Tian and Jian Feng at breakneck speeds. As expected from a ruler armament, the arrows that it shot locked onto the 2 men's auras precisely without fail. Without decreasing their speeds, the 2 men took out their own ruler armaments to knock away the golden arrows, and then continued on their way. On the other side, Guqiu was already farther away than the others. He was essentially out of sight already, leaving newbies no chance of catching up to him. The distance in strength between the two was far too great, and Guqiu's understanding of space far too substantial. Likewise, Jian had been unable to chase down Sita Tian. Jian adversary escaped, and he returned depressed. Chapter 657. Baihai. Neither newbies nor Jian were able to chase down their opponents, and Huang Tianba himself wasn't willing to chase down his 2 opponents. Instead, he notched his golden bow and took aim at Baihai before letting loose several arrows. Whoosh! The energy that was in the bow transformed into a radiant arc of light before jettisoning toward the escaping Baihai. Since these energy arrows were locked onto Baihai's personal aura, the arrows would follow Baihai no matter which way he turned. Despite how fast Baihai was, a ruler armament contained too much power to be shaken off. In practically 2 seconds, the energy arrows were right on the verge of hitting him. With no way to dodge, Baihai could only turn to divert the arrows away. So much energy began to flow into his palm that the space around it trembled slightly as if it was about to collapse. The power in Baihai's palm was great, but a ruler armament was the weapon that a saint ruler at the 9th heavenly layer left behind. On its own, a ruler armament was extremely powerful. If it was wielded by another saint ruler such as Huang Tianba, the power of the bow would be incomparably different than when Huang Wan used it back in the gathering of the mercenaries, meaning this arrow wouldn't be so easily blocked. Even as Bai Hai slammed his hand across the arrows to stop them, the arrows continued on toward his chest unimpeded. Amazement flashed across Bai Hai's eyes as he let out a surprised voice, "So this is a ruler armament." Despite the shock, Bai Hai's arm continued to move into the next motion to materialize a broadsword into his hand. With lightning-quick speed, he brought the giant sword down onto the arrow with such force that a crack was left in the space behind the word's path. Boom! When the giant sword and the golden energy arrows collided, an explosion rang out across the sky. Energy washed over the entire world and caused such backlash that even the sky above turned color. Bai Hai had no ruler armament of his own, so blocking with his own sword cost him a considerable amount of energy. Even though the two saint rulers of the Hongfu clan were weaker than him, they depended on their ruler armament to block the arrows. In order to block a ruler armament with ease, one would have to be stronger than a ruler armament. Besides that, the only other option was to use another ruler armament. Thrown back a considerable distance, Bai Hai's eyes honed in on the drawn bow. Huang Tianba had already notched it in preparation to fire again, so Bai Hai said nothing and turned around to continue running. "Where do you think you're running off to?" The delay had given Jietai enough time to catch up. Flying toward him, Jietai's saint weapon arced onto him. He would consider this strike vengeance for the palm strike Bai Hai given him some time before. Whoosh! At the same time, Huang Tianba shot a second arrow at Bai Hai. It flew, with blinding speed, through the sky. Bai Hai's face grew grim when he felt the arrow come flying toward him. Turning to dodge Jietai's weapon, he gained another 1,000 meters in distance before urging his water-attributed saint force to overflow his body. With a loud shout, he cried, "Fourth miracle water of Bai, absolute rebirth." His water-attributed saint force completely surrounded his body, and quickly took his body out of sight, hovering in the middle of the sky within a bubble. Whoosh! The golden energy arrow shot straight through the blue sphere and disappeared over the horizon, but when the blue sphere faded away, the human inside could no longer be seen. Blast! He's escaped. Jietai angrily cursed between grit teeth at the sight. From far away, Huang Tianba slowly put down his bow to look at the area where Bai Hai once was. What a strange escape technique. Even my lunar bow was unable to track him. He sighed. How unfortunate that not even a single one could be chased down. Nubis lamented. He turned his head back to look at the still-standing Tian Jian. He knew that if this Grand Elder were to wish for it, none of their enemies would have been able to escape. On the other side, Jian Shen was frozen still from shock as his eyes stared in the direction Bai Hai had escaped in. Miracle Water of Bai, that's the name of the Bai family's battle skill. Who is this man? Jian Shen muttered to himself in confusion. The Patriarch was the one who created the Miracle Water of Bai, but there's only 3 layers to it. The human tier, the earth tier, and the heaven tier. But that elder had clearly said there was a 4th one. Could he be? By now, Jian Chen's entire body was shaking violently as if an unbelievable thought had occurred to him. Instantly, Jian Chen turned to look at Jietai and Nubis. What was the name of that blue-robed saint ruler? He urgently asked. Huang Tianba, Jietai, and Nubis looked strangely at Jian Chen. The 3 of them were confused on what had caused this strange behavior from Jian Chen. Should be Bai Hai. That is what I heard the saint ruler from the Sect of Dragon and Tiger call him. Jietai said. Jian Chen's face blanched as a light flickered through his eyes. Bai Hai, Bai Hai. His name is Bai Hai, and he wields one of the battle skills of the Bai family. Surely this can't be a coincidence. Chapter 658, Origin Energy of the Metal Spirit. Huang Tianba walked up to Jian Chen with a curious look on his face. Brother Jian Chen, what's wrong? Is there some history between you and that Bai Hai? If he has some grievances with you, then rest assured, I'll help you fight him. Although we're of equal strengths, he has no ruler armament. There's no way he would be a match for me, and against the two of us, there should be no concern. Jian shook his head, but no words came from his mouth. The very thought of Baihai's identity had caused his mind to be temporarily knocked for a loop. He was excited, but also nervous. Jian. Just then, a calm voice suddenly pulled Jian out of his deep thoughts. Following the source of the voice, Jian looked to Jian's twinkling eyes. Discarding his thoughts, he cupped his hands. Thank you, Senior, for your assistance today. If not for you, I, Jian, surely would have lost the tungsten alloy. Jian, tungsten alloy deposits are extremely rare on the Tianyuan continent. The fact that you found one is thanks to your good fortune. From a cursory glance, I found that there is origin essence, a strange miracle of the world, at the very center of the vein. It's something that could help a saint ruler at the 9th heavenly layer breakthrough to become a saint king. Jian remarked. What? This origin essence could help a saint ruler break through to become a saint king? Huang Tianba asked in disbelief. He wasn't the only one surprised. Jian, Nubis, and Tai were all surprised as well. Normally, the three of them would be stoic beyond all else, but this information was more than enough to shock them. The origin essence hidden within the tungsten alloy was enough to help a saint ruler make the breakthrough to become a saint king. A godly item like that is so desirable some saint rulers would start to froth at the mouth for it. Absolutely no one would be able to remain their usual calm when hearing this news. A saint king would not be an exception. If that's the case, then wouldn't even more people start to pay attention to the tungsten alloy? If these ancient families were so willing to come forward and take it, then I'm sure they'll stoop to having someone act in the darkness. Tai asked in concern. This was a thought that didn't quite occur to Jian. Straight away, his relaxed demeanor tensed up once again. Jian only laughed at the change. Jian, there's no need for you to worry. Tungsten alloy is already a very hard material to begin with, and this origin essence has bolstered the tungsten alloy to the highest quality. Compared to regular grade of tungsten alloy, this stuff is 100 times stronger, and with the tungsten alloy's peculiar ability to dissipate energy, breaking it open would be a very hard task. I'd be unable to break open the tungsten alloy that protects the origin essence with my meager abilities. With that, you should not be concerned about anyone trying to do so under your nose. The three men and beast let out a sigh in relief having heard that. Even the greed in their hearts was diminished. If the Grand Elder of Mercenary City was unable to break through the tungsten alloy to get to the origin essence, then who else in the continent would be able to? In their minds, the origin essence was already a treasure that absolutely nobody could claim. After sighing in relief, Jian's eyebrows suddenly knit together. If Senior is unable to break open the tungsten alloy, wouldn't that mean I'm guarding a treasure I can only look at, but not use? Jian, with your talents, becoming a saint king won't be a challenge. It's best not to dwell on such matters and focus on your cultivation. Jian spoke. Yes, Senior. Jian replied obediently like a student replying dutifully to their teacher's teachings. Now that this matter was done and settled with, the origin essence, or whatever, was nothing more than an item that would be hard to get. Master. This is the origin force from the metal spirit of the 5 elements. Excellent. I never thought that we'd find the origin force of the 5 elemental spirits here. This is a spirit of the world, an unbelievably rare encounter. The voice of Ziying suddenly made itself known. Aya, it really is the origin energy of the metal spirit. And here Qingsua thought that this world wouldn't have the presence of metal or wood spirits, but here it is now. The sing-song voice of Qingsua made itself known as well. Jian's expression went askew at the two spirits' voices, but he recollected himself quickly to ask, Ziying, Qingsua, are you saying that the origin essence that is hidden within the tungsten alloy is the origin energy of the metal spirit? Yes, Master. It really is the energy of the metal spirit. We are sure it's the presence of one of the 5 elementals. Ziying replied excitedly. Master, the energy down below might be quite weak, but it still holds a considerable amount of power. If Master can absorb it, the chaotic body will increase in strength again. Ziying spoke. Jian Shen was moved by this suggestion, but the very thought of the extremely strong tungsten alloy that was protecting the origin essence left him with a headache. Ziying, Qingsua, the tungsten alloy is guarding the origin essence. How would I take it? Ziying and Qingsua quietened down as to think. Before long, Ziying replied first in vexation. Because of the influence of the metal spirit's origin energy, the surrounding rock has become extremely metallic in nature. With Master's current strength, breaking through this layer to get to the origin energy is all but impossible. Master, you just need to wait for the azulate swords to be forged to retrieve the metal spirit's origin energy. Qingsua spoke. Again the azulate swords. Even just the mention of the swords caused a sharp headache for Jian Chen. It was an ardent wish for him to hurry up and forge the azulate swords, but forging the swords was beyond his reach because of how difficult the materials were to get and because he lacked the power to do so. Forget it, it's not as if the origin energy will be running away from here in any case, and no other person should be able to take it. I'll let this matter be. Jian Chen thought to himself. Jian Chen, since the matters here have been taken care of, I'll be taking my leave. Tian Jian's calm voice broke through Jian Chen's thoughts. Senior, since you came all the way here, why not come in and have a drink of tea? It'd be an honor for this junior to act as host. Jian Chen asked. Inviting the Grand Elder of Mercenary City in for a drink would make the flame mercenaries standing skyrocket. Tian Jian smiled, there's no need. I've done what I promised today. I may not have helped you with your enemies, but with your strength, you've more than enough power to deal with them. Whatever's left for you to do will be up to you. Then thank you, Senior, for your assistance. With this, the ones helping the Saint ruler from the Sect of Dragon and Tiger will think twice now. Presumably, the Hongfu clan will find their bonds with the Yan family broken, leaving the Sect of Dragon and Tiger alone with the Hanfu clan. That should be a small enough power for us to deal with. Huang Tianba spoke. Chapter 659, Patriarch of the Bai Clan, 1, Tian Jian didn't stay for long. He left through a crack in space without even seeing Ming Dong. Men like him had long since lost their material greed. They spent their days living in isolation, away from the world. Very rarely did they interfere, and even if a scuffle somewhere in the world happened, they'd be disinclined to look into it. Huang Tianba, Nubis, and Jie Tai were all still in quite a flummox even after Tian Jian left. Tian Jian was, after all, the Grand Elder of Mercenary City. A man like him had stopped 2 ancient families and several hermit families from fighting their group. This meant without a doubt that Jian Chen's group had a definite relationship with the Grand Elder of Mercenary City, a major benefit for them. At the very least, the hermit and ancient families would think twice about fighting them now. Only Jian Chen was left with an unhappy expression. The surprise of the metal spirit within the tungsten alloy gave him plenty to think about. Even now, he was floating in mid-air with a ponderous look, thinking about the blue-robed Bai Hai. Brother Jian Chen, we've not only managed to secure the tungsten alloy, we've also managed to deter the others with the power of the Grand Elder. From now on, we won't need to pay as much attention to the tungsten alloy. Now that the biggest headache is gone, what are you so worried about? Huang Tianba asked Jian Chen. Vanquishing his thoughts, Jian Chen smiled, the biggest problem is gone with the tungsten alloy, that much is true. We won't need to worry about another group trying to take it away from us, so we should all head back for now. Today's events call for a celebration. Then, Jian Chen fished out a white bottle from his space ring and gave it to Jie Tai. Jie Tai, there's 5 Class 6 Radiant Spirit pills in here. They're yours to use and heal your wounds with. Accepting the pills, Jie Tai immediately popped the bottle open and took 2 of the pills into his mouth. Sparing a slight glance at the remaining 3 Radiant Spirit pills, he hesitated just briefly before putting them into his own space ring. The wounds he had sustained from Bai Hai's palm were not light at all. Shortly afterward, everyone returned to the interior of the city. The inhabitants of the city that had been unfortunate enough to fall prey to Nubi's poison were awake once more. The poison of a golden-striped silver snake was extremely toxic, but they had only ingested the air that was sprinkled with it. Combined with the fact that Nubis had diluted most of it by taking it back into himself, cutting away the source, the poison that the inhabitants of the city ingested wasn't enough to kill them. By now the city was in a tumultuous chaos. Everyone was grouped in bunches as they filled the streets to talk to each other about the battle between the Saint rulers with gusto. Many of the horses and magical beasts responsible for pulling trading goods and such were all paralyzed with fear thanks to the intimidating might of the Class 7 Nubis. Many of them were unable to stand and were reduced to a shivering bundle of flesh that couldn't be moved even when their owners tried to push and prod them. As a result, the streets were jam-packed with people clogging the way. In the palace, the blood-soaked Jian came walking back with Nubis and the others. As soon as their foot stepped onto the ground, a horde of people came forward to meet them. Jian, are you okay? Was the saint ruler from the sect of Dragon and Tiger driven away? Jian, you're hurt. There's so much blood, brother, are you okay? Are your wounds serious? Captain, what's going on? Captain, are you okay? Let me notify the Radiant Saint Masters to come, the captain's injured. Call for a Radiant Saint Master. The friends of Jian and important characters from the Flame Mercenaries came to talk to him in droves with everyone talking at once. All of them were filled with a great deal of concern and worry for him. Jian was after all the pillar of the Flame Mercenaries. Everyone knew that without Jian, the Flame Mercenaries would have no path forward. If Jian fell, the Flame Mercenaries would fall too. Shushing everyone with a hand, Jian said in a strong voice, "There is no need for concern, my injuries aren't serious. They are only scratches, but I've important news to tell everyone. From today on, no one will try to take our tungsten alloy now. So please rest assured." Is that right? That's great. Everyone let out a rejoiceful cry of celebration at Jian's words. The tungsten alloy was a veritable treasure trove for the Flame Mercenaries. As long as they held it, they would not be lacking money in the future. The city is in a messy spot right now. If everyone could, please go into the city and establish some order. Jian commanded. Yes, Captain. We'll go at once. Several of the mercenaries immediately retreated to carry out his orders. Soon afterward, Jian returned to his own room and washed his body. He cleaned away the blood before inspecting his body. It was still as white and unmarked as a newborn with very lustrous skin, similar a woman's. The wounds he sustained during the battle were nowhere to be seen, not even a single scar remained. The regenerative power of the chaotic body is far too powerful. If I had received such wounds in the past, I would have been left incapacitated for several days. The chaotic body's regenerative power is almost instantaneous. It heals my wounds in less than a breath's worth of time. Jian sighed as he praised the chaotic body. Taking out a clean set of robes from his space ring, Jian dried himself off and then put them on. Walking out from the bathing area, he noticed Ming Dong and the others gathered in the lounge. When they saw the rosy red hue of health on Jian's face, they all looked surprised. Jian, your wounds shouldn't have healed that fast. Your clothes were extremely bloody just a moment ago. Don't tell me that blood was from the saint ruler from the sect of Dragon and Tiger. Ming Dong couldn't help but ask. He simply couldn't believe that Jian would have been able to inflict that much damage on someone who had reached the saint ruler realm, like Sita Qing. Jian laughed, but he made no motion to answer Ming Dong's question. Now that the problem with the tungsten alloy is resolved, I need to return home for an important matter. I'll leave you all to take care of the matters while I'm gone. Brother, you left for a very long time already and only just got back. Why must you leave so soon? Bai Lian pouted in disappointment. Jian's face was solemn as he answered her, Liener, this is a matter that concerns our family. Your cousin must go and confirm something. Seeing the solemn look on his face, Bai Lian realized that this was no small issue like she had thought. Okay, then. Brother, you have to come back soon though. Chapter 660, Patriarch of the Bai clan, 2. With the great battle drawn to an end, Jian bid farewell to everyone before bringing Nubis and the still sleeping white tiger cub with him to the Jian kingdom. He originally planned on going by himself without bringing anyone else, but when he thought about Nubis' personality, he changed his mind. Nubis was a magical beast and was bloodthirsty by nature, unlike the calm and rational Jian. Jian was unwilling to let the arrogant Nubis stay behind while he was gone. If something happened, then it would definitely become a problem. Jian and Nubis flew through the sky at dreadfully fast speeds before Nubis finally spoke. Jian, this one had never once thought that you and the Grand Elder of Mercenary City would have such a relationship. I, the great Nubis, am surprised. As long as the Grand Elder stands behind you, then I can guarantee that not many people on the continent will try to bully you. Nubis' eyes landed upon the tiger cub in Jian's arm with a slightly more concentrated gaze. Every single Grand Elder of Mercenary City has always been a very talented person. This one in particular seems to be very knowledgeable. Jian, surely you did not tell him about the winged tiger god. Senior Tian Jian already knows about the winged tiger god. Jian replied. What? He knows already? Nubis' expression grew sharp. That isn't good. The winged tiger god is still a youngling, meaning it's still at a tameable age. With the greed that you humans possess, even the strongest of individuals would want to take it. If the winged tiger god reaches maturity, it'll be an indomitable force of power that no human would be able to withstand unless another human like Mo Tianyun were to be born again. Jian shook his head. I'm already aware of the situation. Rest assured, the situation isn't as bad as you think it is. Senior Tian Jian, the second elder, and the fourth elder are the only ones from Mercenary City that know about the winged tiger god. None of the three have any desire to take the cub. In fact, they were more than happy to give it a large amount of heavenly resources. Is that true? Nubis questioned. How curious. Why has Mercenary City decided to do that? Don't they know how terrifying the winged tiger god is? With their strength, there'd be no way to stop the destruction the winged tiger god could cause other than by taming it. The winged tiger god at its maturity is a huge threat to the entire Tianyuan continent. They were told to do so by Mo Tianyun from a long time ago. It was in the very first laws that the Grand Elder was given. Jian replied. Mo Tianyun said that? Nubis grew even more curious now. Was there some sort of friendly relationship between humanity's strongest, Mo Tianyun, and the mythological winged tiger god? The information I've heard has never once said anything about the two having any sort of communication. That, I don't know, but the time since that era has long since passed. Whatever little information we have isn't complete, and nothing concrete can be learned. Perhaps there is some sort of hidden detail we're not aware of. Jian suggested. Nubis nodded his head in solemn agreement. That much I agree with. After that, Jian and Nubis continued on their path while occasionally talking about one topic or another. With their speed, it only took 1 day worth of travel to traverse several tens of thousands of kilometers, arriving back in the Jian kingdom. Stepping into the Jian kingdom's territory, Jian and Nubis immediately continued to Lore City. In a flash, they arrived at their destination where the eastern deity swords from the Qinhuang kingdom remained camped outside. That must be the army of the Qinhuang kingdom, so they've made their way even here as well. What a rich display, it is no wonder they are considered one of the 8 great empires. Nubis couldn't help but remark after seeing their camp. Jian could only smile in silence. Flying into the Changyang Manor, the two of them stopped right outside the gates. Since Jian hadn't bothered to hide his aura, his arrival was felt by all of the Heaven Saint Masters. Straight away, 4 powerful auras flew forth from the interior to surround him in every direction. These 4 Heaven Saint Masters were the housekeeper Chang Wuji, Qin Wuming, Qin Wujian, and Qin Wutian. Sensing the aggressive demeanor of the 4, Nubis' expression grew sour. A flash of cold light streaked across his face, and the power that came with being a Class 7 magical beast immediately manifested itself within his eyes. Instead of staring at Heaven Saint Masters, He looked as if he was looking at a weak little ant. Jian Chen's heart skipped a beat when he felt the change overcome Nubi's expression. Clasping his shoulder, he said under his breath, "Nubis, this is my home. Don't be rash." Immediately, the look on Nubi's face softened to only look at the four men in disdain. Turning to Jian Chen, he hissed, "The great Nubis, why must you never remember that?" Not sure whether he should laugh or cry, Jian Chen replied, Fine, the great Nubis, please don't be rash here. This is my home." "Understood, but tell these little ones to cease their actions now. There shall be no impudence in front of the great Nubis." Nubis lazily responded. Without even needing to be told again, the four Heaven Saint Masters immediately withdrew their fighting auras once they recognized that one of the two people was Jian Chen. "The fourth master has returned. We pay our respects to the Imperial Protector." Chang Wuji and the three others immediately greeted him. Chang Wuji looked at Jian Chen with a cordial smile of familiarity. Qin Wuming and the other two bowed to him respectfully. The battle between the Flame Mercenaries and the Sect of Dragon and Tiger had preceded Jian Chen's arrival. Everyone had quickly learned of the battle since three saint rulers had fled from the Flame Mercenaries and Situ Qing had been heavily injured. So much interest was piqued that practically everyone knew that the captain of the Flame Mercenaries was a saint ruler. Even with so much distance between the Jessen Kingdom and the Heavenly Eagle Kingdom, Chang Wuji and the others were able to learn that their fourth master was a saint ruler. "Fourth master, I'll notify the Lord of your return. The Lord and the fourth lady have been missing you dearly. They have been hoping for your return every day." Chang Wuji spoke as he turned around. "No need, Uncle Chang. I wish to speak to my mother. I'll meet with father in a moment." Jian Chen explained. "Yes, that's fine. Then I'll call for a banquet to celebrate the fourth master's return." Chang Wuji retreated into the manor. Although he looked quite old, his movements were as spry as a 20-something-year-old youth. "Qin Wujian, Qin Wuming, Qin Wutian, you may all go in to rest. I'll be taking care of some matters first." Jian Chen spoke. "Yes, Imperial Protector." The three men bowed respectfully before bowing out. Afterward, Jian Chen led Nubis to a room of his own and commands several maids and servants to wait on him should he require anything. He then left to meet his mother. Chapter 661, Patriarch of the Bai Clan, 3. Walking straight to Bai Yintian's room, Jian Chen stopped right in front of the doors. The two maids standing guard there respectfully said, "We pay our respects to the fourth master." "Fourth lady, the fourth master has returned." "What? Xiang'er is back?" The ecstatic voice of Bai Yuntian immediately zoomed out of her room. The sounds of shuffling footsteps could then be heard before the doors to her room opened up. "You two may leave, there's no need to remain guard here. Without my order, no one has permission to enter this room." Jian Chen commanded the two maids before striding in. This maid hears and obeys. The two maids bowed slightly before leaving the area. "Xiang'er, you've finally returned. This time you simply must stay a little longer." Bai Yintian spoke in her common graceful speech. Today, she was wearing a white, satin robe that complemented the warm smile on her face as she greeted her child. Even the normally stalwart Jian Chen softened in the face at the sight of his very own mother. "Mother, your child is an unfilial one to not spend time with you. How have you been these past few days, mother?" "All is well. Your mother spends her days in peace here, but you, Xiang'er, you must be tired, running around all day." Bai Yintian spoke with concerned affection. "Xiang'er, we've reports from 2 days ago that some mighty saint ruler from the Sect of Dragon and Tiger launched an attack before being beaten by another. Is that true?" Jian Chen nodded his head with a faint smile. "It's correct. Mother, the Flame Mercenaries have grown far stronger than before. Thanks to your son, the Flame Mercenaries now have an additional 2 saint rulers overseeing it. Is that right?" "Oh, how excellent." Bai Yintian's face lit up with glee. She had heard this information 2 days ago, but to have it actually confirmed by the mouth of Jian himself made it no less astonishing to hear, even if it was for the second time. Xiang'er. Your mother has heard that you've made the breakthrough to become a saint ruler. Is that true as well? Biyao Tian followed up her question with more questions. There was a slight tremor to her voice, as if she was eagerly expecting to hear confirmation from her son. A pained smile greeted her this time. Mother, your son is still a heaven saint master, but I've the fighting prowess of a saint ruler. At the very most, the weakest saint rulers won't be much of a threat to your son. This time, Biyao Tian found it hard to reply at all. A saint ruler was in her eyes the same as standing at the very top of the continent. She had never expected her very own son to attain such a position, and as a parent, this was an undoubtedly major achievement that she was proud to know about. This was all a mother could ever ask for. Jian was silent as well for a moment. Mother. He began, I came back this time with extremely important information I wanted you to confirm. His words brought Biyao Tian back to reality and helped her calm herself back to normal. Xiang'er, say whatever it is you wish to say. Mother, your son wishes to ask about the Bai family. Would you happen to know some information about the Patriarch? Jian asked. At the very mention of the Bai family, the expression on Biyao Tian's face slipped just slightly. The previously excited look slowly melted away from her face, growing slightly somber. Xiang'er, the great catastrophe that befell the Bai family happened to your mother when I was very young, so the matters of the Bai family are rather limited to me. I've only seen the Patriarch's likeness from a statue. Mother, would you happen to know the name of the Patriarch then? Jian urged. Not only was our Patriarch the progenitor of our clan, he was also the only saint ruler. With his existence, the Bai family became known as a great family that existed for a millennia. His name was held in such high regards that everyone knew it, that was only natural. The Patriarch's name, he was Biyao. Biyao Tian bitterly replied. Biyao, it really is Biyao. That's his name. Jian muttered just slightly to himself. In his mind, images of the blue-robed figure that fought Jetta Tai began to resurface. Noticing the meaning behind Jian's words, Biyao Tian grew suspicious. Xiang'er, could it be that you've heard Baihao's name elsewhere? He nodded, but no words found their way through his mouth. Instead, he pulled out a brush and some paper from his space ring. He then began to paint a swift picture of Baihao's likeness from what he could remember of the battle. The figure in the painting was the blue-robed Biyao, and it was so realistic that one would almost think that there was no difference between this painting and the real person. Presenting the finished painting to Biyao Tian, Jian asked, Mother, do you recognize this person? Biyao Tian shook her head however. The person in this painting was unfamiliar to her, I don't. Your mother has never seen this person before. Mother, didn't you say that you've seen a statue of the Patriarch before? Please look carefully, does this person look the same as our Patriarch? Jian urged. Xiang'er, your mother has seen a statue of the Patriarch before, but he was a middle-aged man at that time in appearance. This elderly man in the painting holds no resemblance to him. The paper fell from Jian's hand as he bowed his head to think. His previous and current actions allowed Biyao Tian to connect the dots. Sternly, she looked to him, Xiang'er, tell your mother, was the person you saw possibly the Patriarch of our Bai family? Deciding not to hide it this time, Jian nodded his head, Mother, your child has indeed met a man named Biyao, but I've yet to determine whether he really is the Patriarch of the Bai family. I need time to verify that fact. Xiang'er, then what are you waiting for? Hurry. Hurry and confirm his identity. No matter what methods you use, you must find out whether or not he is our Patriarch. Don't forget that we both have the blood of the Bai family in our veins. As long as we can find our Patriarch, there is a hope that we cannot let pass by. Biyao Tian exclaimed in a hurry to emphasize her statement. Determined, Jian replied, understood. Mother, your son will be leaving to verify who he is. Since there's no time to waste, your son will be leaving at once. With that, Jian turned about and left the room without hesitation. This time, Tian didn't move to hold him back. Xiang'er, go fast and return soon. Chapter 662, Visiting the Sect of Dragon and Tiger. Not even 2 hours had passed since Jian arrived at Changyang Manor with newbies before they left with a speed that was just as fast as when they came. They came quickly, they left quickly. Changyang didn't even have a chance to see his own son. Finding the patriarch of the Bai family was far more important. There was no time to lose. Conflicted, Tian stood at beyond the doors to her own room to watch Jian disappear into the skies. Her heart found it very hard to remain calm at that moment, since Jian's abrupt news about the patriarch of the Bai family immediately broken the tranquility she was in. At the same time, she was extremely nervous on whether or not that person was really the same Bai she knew to be the patriarch. Xiang'er. Xiang'er's back? Suddenly, a dignified but excited voice echoed through the halls as Changyang came running into view. Right behind him were several of the higher-ranking members of the Changyang Manor, each one of them running excitedly with Changyang towards Bai Yintian's room. Striding to Bai Yintian's side and looking left and right, Changyang asked, "Yuner, Xiang'er has returned, hasn't he? Where is he then?" Taking in a deep breath to calm her nerves, Bai Yintian couldn't help but smile to see the hurried expression on her husband's face. "Xiang'er has already left." "What? He left?" Changyang didn't believe it for a moment. Smiling, he spoke, "Yuner, let's dispense with the jokes. Xiang'er only just came back, but it's been a long time since I last saw him. As a father, I wish to see my son." "It's true. Husband, Xiang'er has left. He has important matters to take care of and so he couldn't stay for long." Bai Yintian replied. Bai Yintian was never a person to make jokes, so Changyang had no other choice but to believe that Jian had really left. Sighing, he said, "A pity that I was late then. I hadn't the idea that Xiang'er would be in such a hurry to leave. It's rare that he comes back home already. It seems that our son is quite rushed if he has to leave home as quickly as he came then. Little Yun, I've heard that the fourth master has broken through to become a saint ruler. Would that tidbit of information be true?" An elder besides Changyang suddenly, he was one of the doyen of the Changyang Manor. The fellow doyens of the clan immediately looked to Bai Yintian expectantly. Each of their eyes glowed brightly as if waiting for her answer. The reason why all of the doyens gathered here today was to verify this highly important piece of information. Seeing the highly excited looks of anticipation on everyone's faces, Bai Yintian couldn't help but have a proud smile on her own face. "I only just asked this of Xiang'er himself. Xiang'er is truly an amazing child. Not only does he not fear any saint ruler, he has the strength to fight one as well." "Is that true? That's amazing. I never would have imagined that our Changyang Manor would be blessed with a saint ruler, dear heavens. Saint rulers are rare even on the Tianyuan continent, and yet our Changyang Manor has one of them. This is great information. Our Changyang Manor has been blessed with an unprecedented genius. Just barely in his 20s and he has already become a saint ruler. From now on, our Changyang Manor will no longer be a small-time clan in this part of the kingdom. With a saint ruler, our Changyang Manor can set its eyes over the entire continent. We will be a face that everyone knows. Like how the boat rises with the tides, our Changyang Manor will rise too, ha ha ha." One by one, the doyens of the Changyang Manor began to laugh in excitement. Each one of them were hardly able to contain their joy, and their excitement were already far beyond what they would normally be willing to express. One day later, Jian and newbies returned back to where the newbies clan was. After his return, Ming Dong and the others immediately gathered around him. "Brother, what in the world caused you to leave in such a hurry? You only left just 2 days ago, and based on the distance between the Jessen kingdom and here, you couldn't possibly left in this place long enough." Ming Dong asked Jian curiously for the details. "Brother, what in the world happened? Tell us it, hopefully we can all find a solution." Bai Lian asked in concern. "Jian, did something bad happen?" You surmised with a dark expression. Revealing a light smile, Jian replied, there's no need for everyone to guess the situation. I can't talk about it for now, but it isn't anything bad. Or rather, it's a rather good affair. Let us go our own ways for now. I've some things I wish to discuss with Senior Huang and Jie. Afterwards, Jian walked over to the garden where Huang Tianba and Jie were currently engaged in a game of chess. Along with newbies, the four of them sat around a circular table where several maids brought out refreshments and drinks to adorn the table. Due to the fact that newbies spent the majority of his life in Cross Mountains without leaving, the delicacies of mankind were an unknown to him. Unable to help himself, each part of the refreshments were gobbled up by him while commenting happily on the taste. After the maids had their fun bringing even more snacks to newbies, Jian spoke to them, you may leave now. Yes. The maids bowed before retreating away from the garden. Brother Jian, what business might you have for you to call on us? After the maids left, Huang Tianba opened his mouth to speak. Jian was quiet for a brief moment before replying, I wish to find the blue-robed one named Bai Hai. The one that Situ Qing invited. Would either of you three know of a way to find him? That man's strength is as strong as mine. I've not enough strength to leave a mark on him. Jie remarked. My Lunar Bao was able to lock onto his aura so that he shouldn't have been able to run away, but there was some sort of mysterious escape technique he used to completely erase his aura. Even now I still can't find him. Huang Tianba spoke. Jian looked to newbies in hopes that this ancient beast would know of some particular method to find Bai Hai. Noticing his gaze, newbies shrugged his shoulders, I've never even fought with that human before, don't look to me for advice. I'd know not where he went, but if you wish to find that tattered robe old one, then I'd have a way. His entire body was infected with my poison, as long as he doesn't completely neutralize the poison, I'll be able to sense his position no matter where he is. Jian eyebrows flew up, it seems that if we wish to find his position, we have to find out from the Saint Ruler from the Sect of Dragon and Tiger himself. Brother Jian, don't you have a grudge with them still? You may as well nip the problem now, with the power we have now, the Sect of Dragon and Tiger has no way of threatening us anymore. Huang Tianba proposed. That was my plan. Jian nodded his head in some thought, the Saint Ruler would do anything to kill me now and as soon as possible. If not for my fortitude, I really would have died at his hands. I can't return this favor with a lenient hand, I will make him fall with our visit. Jie, stay here in the meanwhile. Newbies, Senior Huang, the three of us will hurry on towards their sect. Brother Jian is surprisingly a decisively firm type of a person. I can respect that. Huang Tianba laughed before following Jian out. Afterwards, Jian bade farewell to Ming Dong and the others before leaving with newbies and Huang Tianba off towards the Sect of Dragon and Tiger. The Sect of Dragon and Tiger wasn't too far away from the Heavenly Eagle Kingdom, and with Jian's speed, they were easily able to reach the sect's resting grounds in no time at all. From far away, Jian and them could see the people within the sect moving about. Floating in front of the sect, Jian's eyes stare frostily at the buildings down below. Saint Ruler of the Sect of Dragon and Tiger, come out and die. Jian's voice wasn't any louder than normal, but the entire world could still hear his echoing voice. Immediately, the Sect of Dragon and Tiger was brought into chaos. A great deal of people began to pour out from the buildings to stare up at the three figures floating in midair. They felt uneasy since they didn't recognize the three figures, but knowing that they were blatantly undermining the sect's strength, the people knew that these three people would not be weak. Several figures flew out into the skies before quickly coming to a stop in front of Jian and the other two. Each one of them stared at Jian dangerously, and at the very front of this group was the sect master Chris. He recognized Jian straight away with a crestfallen face. All semblance of color bled away from his face at once, leaving him with an extremely pale coloration as he shrieked, Jian, it's you. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.